The Kettleers have made their mark so far this weekend in the biggest stretch of their regular season. A win today over Falmouth on Sunday would all but clear them the path to the number 2 spot in the West and a playoff berth in 2021. Welcome back to the Kettleers pregame show, everyone. Tim Crowley joined by Chris and Steph Carey. So it's back-to-back huge wins against the Wareham Gatemen and the Falmouth Commodores. That win last night in Falmouth, the first of a home-and-home series. The Commodores make their way to Lowell Park today, and with these two teams separated by just .031 of a percentage point in the standings, we all know how big this game is today.
Well, what I can tell you is Waiting for Love by Avicii is playing in the background. What the Falmouth Commodores are doing, they're waiting for a loss by Cotuit. They've won their last 43 runs over that span. Huge stretch of games for the Kettleers. This could be the nail in the coffin for the Commodores if the Kets can pull away with a win here at Lowell Park.
4 games left to play heading into tonight's game, but we're driving into today's pitching matchup, a huge game for both teams with so many playoff implications on the mind. Let's start with Falmouth and Adam Stone.
Well, last time he came on as a starter, he went 2/3 of an inning 8 days ago against Cotuit. He's hoping to go a little bit longer, but the line this season, 0-0, 7.94 ERA, 5 2/3 innings pitched with 5 strikeouts, just trying to go deeper and get at that Cotuit offense that had 20-plus hits yesterday.
After Jake Brooks took the mound yesterday, the Kettleers countered with a lefty today, who's been very good so far in his tenure as a Kettleer. Dalton Rogers takes the mound in one of the biggest games of the season for Cotuit.
Well, this is sort of the end of the top of the rotation guys for the Kettleers. A bunch of unknowns are coming in for the next 3. Rogers, good year so far, 1-0 with a 2.7 ERA, and we got to figure out who the starters are going to be if the Kettleers don't manage to pull across with a win today at Lowell.
Cotuit 3-1 against division rival Falmouth so far this season, but the one win for the Commodores in the series did come at Lowell Park. The Kettleers trying to take advantage of another home game today and sweep through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, their biggest divisional stretch of the season. For our keys to the game, let's send it over to our sideline reporter, Lauren Kirkley. Lauren?
Thanks, Tim. Here are my keys for tonight's game. Number 1, carry over the offense. This offense scored in every inning but 2 last night, providing consistent pressure against the Commodores. Keeping the pedal down offensively is going to be key tonight. Number 2, length from Rogers. Rogers has been really good. He has a 2.7 ERA in a Cotuit uniform. Consistency on the mound from him tonight is going to be crucial for a Kettleers win. And lastly, deliver the knockout to Falmouth. Head-to-head matchups go a long way in playoff consideration, and a sweep in this home-and-home series against Falmouth will provide a clear path for Cotuit in that number 2 seed in the West and another playoff berth.
Kettleers. Kettleers. So after, no, nothing. So after starting and getting back to 500 at Gov Fuller Field last night, the Kettleers returned to Lowell Park for their second straight game against the Falmouth Commodores. And Chris, I cannot stress enough how big this game is for Cotuit as they make a playoff push for second place. Stephen Carey, Chris Carey on the Kettleers Digital Network from inside the booth at Lowell Park. Sorry we had some technical difficulties. I know we've been saying that a lot this season. But we'll break down the defense from left to right for Cotuit. Matt Suggs in left, Jace Grady in center, Noah Bridges in right, Carter Trice at third, Ryan Ritter at shortstop, Eric Brown at second, Nathan Martorella at first, Matt Donlin behind the plate, and Dalton Rogers will be the starter, the lefty that will be transferring to Southern Mississippi next year.
And he starts off with a first pitch strike. What's new there? He's just been so excellent since he's come to Cotuit. 1-0 this season with a 2.70 ERA, 4 games, 3 of them started, 11 walks, 5 hits with 16 strikeouts, and just 10 innings pitched.
Cody Coleman has a 1-1 count. He's hitting 178 on the season. Make it a 1-2 count as he puts that one right down Main Street. Kettleers need to get the maximum amount of innings out of Rogers. His last start went 3 innings, gave up 1 run, no hits, 5 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So keeping that walk number down is going to be essential to the Kettleers' success here at Lowell Park this evening.
And certainly so, and you don't want to start off the leadoff hitter and Cody Coleman on base. You consider yesterday's game where they won 16-6, it was just a hit affair. Not too many strikeouts, not too many walks, but just putting the ball in play for both teams. Whoever strikes first should have the edge here at Lowell Park.
Tries the inside corner, doesn't get the call. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Good time to mention Rick Emerson will be the home plate umpire. Tyler Bullock will man the duties over at first base. And Joe Caraco will be over at third. The 3-2 pitch to Colden. Foul tipped back off the glove of Matt Donlin. So we talk about this game. The magic number is 3 for the Kettleers. If they manage to win today, it brings the magic number down to 1, which means any combination of a Kettleers win or a Falmouth loss would give playoff berth. And he misses the inside corner. That's a leadoff walk for Cody Coleman.
And not a good start for Dalton Rogers. You consider how he threw the pitches. He did find the zone. It was just a bit inside for Rick Emerson's liking. Now you have a lefty-lefty matchup. Set up a possible double play ball, but you have a speedy runner at first base. Luckily, Donlin's behind the plate if he's quick to get to the ball and throw it down to second.
Braden Taylor up. He's batting .281 on the season with 25 hits, 2 home runs, and 14 RBIs. Taylor had a single and scored 2 runs yesterday. With this lefty-lefty matchup, let's see if they put Cody Coleman in motion. First pitch off the plate to Taylor. This is a team that can rack up hits in a hurry. 10 hits yesterday. I know that was overshadowed by Cotuit's number with 20. But plenty of power, plenty of contact. Rick Emerson calls time. Looks like he's having a conversation. Wonder what this is about. But anyway, with Wareham effectively out of the playoff conversation, all you have to do is worry about the Commodores. And this is a team that could pose some trouble if the Kettleers can't manage to get a win today at Lowell.
Well, you think about how this game is going to progress, right? I mean, you want to go ahead and say the Kettleers win this game and then they turn it over to, the magic number of 1. But if they do lose the game, it would just be like Friday. Be some variation of 3. So whoever wins the most out of the 3 games will advance to the playoffs. If both teams were to lose all 3 games, Cotuit would advance. So Cotuit seems more comfortable in this situation, even though they're separated by just .04 or less than .04, .03.
1-0 pitch. 91 on the outside corner evens it up at 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, win, lose, or draw, one thing's for certain here at Lowell Park. Boys are going to win today. Hey, Cotuit. It's going to be playing on the loudspeaker either way.
Yeah, regardless of a win or loss.
1-1. Big curveball missed way outside.
He's just trying to find that secondary pitch. We talked about Jake Brooks yesterday, unable to even get that first pitch across. They were drawing hard contact against him. Rogers needs to bear down, work on that high fastball against right-handed hitters, then against the left, that slider away that has been lethal all season long. And he's been a road warrior so far. I mean, he's been a guy that's pitched a lot on the road, and when he's been at home, hasn't seen the dimensions of this ballpark as much.
2-1. Goes upstairs with it, gets a called strike, so he evens it up at 2 apiece. That's a pretty pitch. Takes a little off. I've seen him sit around 91, 92 with the fastball. Goes 90 there. Now Braden Taylor has to defend the plate. And again, we're going to see him throw over to first. A lot of concern for the leadoff runner and Cody Coleman. He got aboard with a walk to start this game. Kettleers cannot afford to let the Commodores score first, regardless of how well the bats have been doing over the last 4 games, as that one's fouled back. And over that stretch, Chris, 43 runs have come across for the Kettleers. Impressive numbers. So you're averaging more than 10 runs a game as a unit. That's a pretty good recipe for success, especially when pitching has been the issue. Kind of a flip-flop after the draft. Pitching was the strongest suit of the team. Now it's the bats. They're seeming to get a lot more comfortable at the plate.
And it just looks like Rogers is uncomfortable with Cody Coleman at first base. He just continues to throw over there instead of a 2-2 count and a great slider that was just barely fouled away from Taylor. I would see that again.
And he throws over again.
And this is just confusing here because Martirella's not covering the runner at first base. At least he's not holding the bag. So a tag to be applied. Coleman's not taking a big primary lead anyway.
2-2 fastball, low and outside, and now Rogers is running the risk of walking his first 2 batters faced in the top of the first inning. Fortunately for him, he's at his home crowd. Every time he throws over, he doesn't get a case of the Boo Birds. See if they put Coleman in motion. 3-2 pitch. Gets the outside corner, and a pretty strikeout for Dalton Rogers.
And he backs up this fastball in the outside corner at 3-2, just freezes him there. Generous call behind the plate by Rick Emerson because in that zone against a right-handed hitter, that most likely would have been ball 4. Nonetheless, you get the big first out, and you bring up Jace Borfin, who we know what he's been able to do against the Kettleers all season long.
Borfin batting .299. That's good for 9th in the CCBL with 35 hits, 5 home runs, and 18 RBIs. The pickoff move works.
Wow.
Caught him straying off the bag, and Rogers stepped off at the right time.
He was operating from the stretch. The leg kick looked forward, and then was able just enough to throw him off to deliver a strike over to first base. Martirella still not covering the bag, making the tag on Cody Coleman. So the whole complexion of the inning has changed. You have the speedy runner no longer on the base paths, 2 outs, and a lefty-lefty matchup against Borfin.
Now that's the only person he has to focus on, Jace Borfin. What you don't want to do is let Borfin get aboard and let Chris Armstrong and possibly Anthony Hall come up to the plate. 2-0 pitch. Downstairs, and it's 3-0. So totally different here. If he didn't get that pickoff move, he might have 2 runners on with only 1 out. Let's see if he can battle back here with a hitter's count. 3-0 pitch. Obvious take. He takes advantage and throws one down the middle. It's 3-1.
Well, you don't want to leave it over the middle for Jace Borfin, a guy that has 5 home runs this season and possibly should have more, how much power he's put behind the ball for the Commodores.
And another take and another strike. So the payoff pitch will come with 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. The bases are empty.
This is Rogers' 3rd straight 3-2 count.
And his 2nd straight strikeout. Pretty pitch by Rogers. Uses the outside corner. 2 strikeouts looking. Go to the home half of the first on the Kettleers Digital Network. You can tell the energy is alive at Lowell Park when Alan Gladstone is getting the fans hyped with have a hit chance. Everybody's excited. They know the potential of this team. And over the last couple of games, the Kettleers have not only felt like a playoff team, but a team that can win this whole thing in the CCBL, going for their 18th CCBL championship. And the team that's going to do it most likely is going to be the same team that's been in the lineup the last 5 days. Leading off, Jace Grady. Batting second, Carter Trice. Ryan Ritter will bat third and play shortstop like you saw in the first inning. Eric Brown, such a lethal cleanup man, will bat fourth. Noah Bridges really finding his stride as a hitter will bat fifth. Brett Roberts, one of those 4-hit men, will bat sixth. Nathan Martorella will bat seventh. Matt Suggs, eighth. And Matt Donlin will round out the order and bat ninth. And the defense from left to right, Boyers, Handel, Borfin in the outfield, Taylor, Colden, Curiali, and Armstrong. Smith behind the plate, and Adam Stone on the mound. Big righty out of Harvard University. He'll place one in for a called strike to start off Jace Grady, who had one heck of a day at the plate yesterday. Had 4 hits, including a solo home run in the 4th inning, and 3 total RBIs. Stone's a guy that has not had a lot of success in the CCBL this year. 7.94 ERA and no decisions yet. As he goes with a fastball, it misses inside. 2 balls, 1 strike.
And Grady has been so comfortable in the leadoff position, especially hitting line drives up the middle. We saw the first home run from the left side yesterday against the Commodores, but a slew of singles as well from him.
2-1 to Grady, and Grady jumps all over it, but skies it out to right field. Borfin makes a leaping catch, and that'll keep Grady from extra bases.
He's just teeing off on the baseball right now. You know, Adam Stone left one over the middle, got a lucky one. The defense of Borfin continues to prove is solid in right field. And here's the real thing that should be talked about, Stefan. This field is not going to have any trick bounces like yesterday at Falmouth. It's going to die in the field. The ball will not roll as much. It'll be more playable for the outfield as they read it and track the ball.
Felt like the guys were playing with one of those carnival bouncy balls that just would bounce as high as it could with the momentum from the ground. Very difficult to read in the outfield, and Carter Trice was one of the players that had some difficulty with it in the infield. He's batting .243 on the season, and now it's 1-1 to him. Really started to emerge as a hitter for this team, got him consistent at bats, and that has been the difference. 1-1 pitch. Outside by Stone. Pretty different start between these two starting pitchers. Stone has commanded the zone pretty effectively. Positive takeaway for the Kettleers. Jace Grady almost got aboard with a piece of solid contact to start off the inning. Of course, that one was tracked down by Jace Borfin in right field. 2-1. And Grady jumps on one. He skies it out towards center field, and Borfin will make the catch again in right. So back-to-back flyouts to right field is what starts the day for the Kettleers, but Ryan Ritter, the offensive MVP of the team, will come up to the plate, batting .325 with 26 hits, a home run, and 5 runs batted in.
And congratulations to Ryan Ritter there. That's just an incredible achievement, something that we didn't see coming midway through the season, mostly because he wasn't inserted in the lineup. When Eric Brown was playing shortstop every day and you had a combination of multiple different players playing at second.
There's the trifecta of flyouts to right field. Kettleers go down in order in the first inning. We'll go to the second on the Kettleers Digital Network. Even here after one inning, it's 0-0 in the top of the second inning. And it's 4, 5, and 6 coming up for the Falmouth Commodores. And this is the part of the order that has done damage. Chris Armstrong yesterday had a pair of RBIs and a single. But the real man you have to worry about is the number 5 hitter, Anthony Hall, who will come up, hopefully, with nobody on the base paths. Armstrong will dig in. The first pitch incoming to him is a called strike.
I would say he's just as worrisome as Anthony Hall, especially at 300 with 24 hits and 7 home runs, which is a team lead. When we first played Chris Armstrong, we didn't know what to expect. He was in an offensive slump. He was just getting his legs, and now has been incredibly consistent, seeing around 300 for the last 2 weeks.
Good for 8th in the CCBL. That's going to be a battle between him and Jace Borfin. Coming into today's game, Jace Borfin at a .299 clip. Chris Armstrong only .001 points better at 300. 2-1. Armstrong ropes one out to left field, and that's a leadoff base hit.
Well, Armstrong just continues to hit. Like you said, the battle between him and Borfin. Borfin struck out to end the first. He starts off the second with a base hit in between Carter Trice and Ryan Ritter. Nice line drive, middle in, and that's what you expect from him, especially going to a powerhouse school like the University of Florida, as much as I hate to say it.
Back-to-back innings with a leadoff base runner for Dalton Rogers. And that's exactly what you didn't want to do for Anthony Hall, who had a nuke out to right center field yesterday. He'll swing out of his shoes on the first pitch. Hall out of Oregon. He's hitting .280 with 4 home runs and 10 runs batted in. This is quite the gauntlet. Middle part of the order, not to be outdone by Cotuit's batting order, but still very dangerous nonetheless.
And those two pitches are the type of pitches that you want to see against left-handed hitters coming from Dalton Rogers. Is the slider away, little curveball action if he wants to drop it into the outside corner. Just can't hang it, because if he does, baseball will be punished deep to right center field.
0-2, and Rogers going to throw over again. Had that nice pickoff move in the top of the first inning. Got Cody Coleman sleeping. Now, I don't think that Chris Armstrong is quite as big of a run threat, but still good to pay attention. 0-2 pitch. Just misses outside. It's 1-2. So you want to be able to get this guy out, not worry about the big power threats. One's already standing on first base. Rogers knows it. He'll throw over again. This is the final time these two teams will meet this season. 1-2, way inside, and got him to fan on it. Pretty pitch at 91, handcuffed him. Strikeout number 3, the first swinging strikeout that Dalton Rogers has allowed this game.
And he forced it on the inside, which is a tough pitch, especially to a guy like Anthony Hall, who had a home run yesterday and has been an incredible threat to the Kettleers right there. That's good for his confidence, going inside, crossing him up. A great pitch.
As Michael Curiali swings and misses on the first pitch. He's hitting .229 this season with 2 home runs and 16 RBIs. Good matchup here for him against the left-handed throwing Rogers, who once again is still very worried about Chris Armstrong at first base. I think a lot of that is because of that Wareham game. Gave up a bunch of walks and only 1 run, but no hits. So when base runners get aboard, and more than one base runner gets aboard, that's when it becomes problematic. 0-1 pitch. Curiali fouls it straight back. Scouts beware. Thank goodness for the screening, or else somebody would end up with a bruise.
And Rogers, what I've seen so far is he's not drawing hard contact. I know Chris Armstrong had that base hit to left field, but it wasn't a rocket. It just found the right spot, got in the hole. Still a line drive, but Rogers is not much to worry about right now, especially considering the way he's been pitching.
0-2, Curiali took a shot at right field, but instead fouls it back to the right side, and still 0-2. Rogers has really cemented himself in the top of this rotation as maybe a number 2 or number 3 starter. It brings up an important conversation. Who are the next 3 guys going to be? Should this game be tied or lost by the Kettleers? 0-2 to Curiali, clips the inside corner, struck him out. That's number 4 for Rogers.
Well, you go from one umpire's tight zone to now a very open zone from Rick Emerson on the inside corner. Great pitch, good spot. And that's basically unhittable for Curiali, especially considering the right-handed hitter. Only thing that could have gotten out of that bat is just a little dribbler.
As Mike Handel comes up, he's hitting .385, 5 hits, 3 RBIs, and 13 at-bats. All 3 of those RBIs came last night against the Kettleers. Had 2 singles, one of which was an RBI single in the 7th, and a double, which scored 2 in the 3rd. So a great pickup out of Fairfield. This is a lineup that is riddled with offensive potential. 1-0.
Good pitch. Really good pitch there.
Almost like a slurve. I can't really describe what it is. It has slider break, but curveball speed.
But it drops. It doesn't go 12-6, of course, but maybe more 2 or 3 to 7 or 8.
Bouncing ball just fouled to the right side. Nathan Martorella tried to make a play on it and get the Kettleers out of this inning, but the dimensions didn't help him out. Favorable count for Rogers, though, as it's 1-2 for Mike Handel. If he could strike him out here, he'd strike out the side. One-two pitch coming. Rogers will fire it in. Just misses outside.
Went with a fastball there. Doesn't want to go in. Just staying away, especially against Handel, who's done very well this season, the small sample size that he's been able to play.
2-2 pitch. He does it. He strikes out the side in the second. 5 strikeouts for Dalton Rogers and an incredible performance through 2. We will go to the third inning, or the bottom of the second, on the Kettleers Digital Network. So here's where things could start to get dangerous for the Commodores. The Kettleers are going to look to strike first here in the bottom of the second inning. Stephen Carey, Chris Carey, with Eric Brown coming up to the plate, and he has resurged as one of the best hitters in the entire CCBL and on this Cotuit Kettleers team. First pitch, called strike, outside corner 0-1.
And he had one of the best offensive performances on the Cape yesterday. You think about the 4 straight hits that he had, 3 runs scored and 2 RBIs with a home run. I mean, unbelievable stuff from him. He was just putting the ball in play everywhere, and he needed it.
0-1, big curveball missed outside. Like we mentioned, Eric's batting .274 on the season. His average has gone up 38 points since July 26th. He's at .236 on that day. As Brown jumps all over that one, but skies it out towards center field. This time, Handel will make the catch. So Jace Borfin gets a rest on that play, but that's 4 consecutive fly balls to the outfield. Now it's Noah Bridges' turn. If you told me this guy was going to hit .289 for us in a postseason stretch, I wouldn't have believed you when he first got here. The improvements that he has made are unbelievable. And he lines one right at the shortstop, Colden, who makes the grab.
That's the first batter that hasn't left the infield yet. So it went line out to right, fly out to right, fly out to right, then a fly out to center, then a hard liner to short. So they're teeing off the ball against Stone. He's just trusting his defense here. But I wanted to talk about these 3, 4, 5, and 6 hitters yesterday. They combined for 12 hits. They're all multi-hit performances. And this guy had a wonderful day. They all contributed for 10 of the 16 runs as well, Stefan.
Brett Roberts, certainly one of those guys, hitting .306 now with 22 hits, 2 home runs, and 13 RBIs. I asked him, hey, what did you been eating for breakfast over the last couple of games? He said, man, I don't eat breakfast. So he's just been seeing the ball extremely well. Feels a lot more comfortable now that he's playing every single day. Difference for him at FSU is he more than likely will be their everyday shortstop. But a shortstop with plus power, as that fastball was way upstairs. It's 1-1.
And something that not many players have the ability to do is going the other way with the baseball. All of his hits went to right field. They were grounders. He played the shift well. High fastballs, he's able to deal with it perfectly.
1-1. Slider outside. Roberts had what was called a Little League home run yesterday. It scored 3 runs. Only 1 RBI was granted to him, though, because of a couple of throwing errors. Now he's ahead in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. So his eyes are going to be lighting up if somehow Stone gives him a fastball over the middle. I doubt he will. But this lineup, again, has talent from top to bottom. Nathan Martorella stands on deck. And I was right. He didn't go with the slider. He missed away. Brett Roberts will be the first base runner for the Cotuit Kettleers in this game at Lowell Park.
Well, we know what the Kettleers have been able to do with 2 outs, especially at Lowell Park. They're a 2-out hitting team. Nathan Martorella, no exception there. Brett Roberts just doing his job, taking the right pitches, swinging at the right ones as well, drawing a walk with 2 outs. No complaints with him the way he's played over the last few games.
Martorella fouls one straight down. It's 0-1 for him. He's hitting .230 on the season. He's cooled down a little bit. But still, a power bat at the bottom of the order. If you get runners aboard, he'll be able to drive them in. If not, one of the most methodical hitters on this team. He will draw walks and he will get on base. The team that likes to 2-out rally, that is an invaluable asset. The 0-1. Fastball upstairs. When he really tries to light these batters up with speed on his fastball, he's lost a little bit of control, especially when he tries to elevate.
I totally agree, especially revving up with the velo you talk about. And a lot of pitchers have been able to do that, or should say they haven't been able to keep it in the zone is really what I should say. But that high fastball has caused a lot of problems to CCBL hitters. I know he's trying to spot the location up and away enough so that it gets the zone. But the more that you add, the less control you have, especially for college players.
1-1 to Martorella. Again, the slider misses. What you don't want to do with number 18 is let him get ahead in the count. That's where he makes pitchers pay. Doubt we'll see Brett Roberts go. He does have a leadoff first. 2-1 pitch. Martorella yanks one out to right field. Roberts had to dodge it. He's going to try to go first to third. It gets away from the right fielder. They're going to wave Roberts. He's going to come around. The throw is not going to be made to home, and Nathan Martorella delivers.
Well, I just have to laugh at this point. You talk about the defensive miscues and misreads in the field, and Borfin this time is at the receiving end of it. So much so that Noah Bridges yesterday had so many problems in right field with the way the ball was bouncing. Nathan Martorella delivers an RBI. You just have to consider Brett Roberts' ability to get on base. The 2-out hitting team continues here at Lowell Park.
There goes the no-hitter for Stone with that base hit by Martorella. First error of the game committed by Falmouth, picking up right where they left off as there's a bouncing ball foul to the left side. 4 errors yesterday. This is a team that has struggled with errors this season. That's their 40th, which puts them the second to last spot for errors in the CCBL. They were tied with Cotuit for that spot. Now they cement themselves at the bottom of the table. 0-1. Suggs way out in front. He waves and misses. So the Kettleers got the lead that they wanted, and they scored first. That has been the recipe for success. 0-2 pitch to Suggs. Threw his hands at it, but held back. It's 1-2. The pitch. Tried the curveball. It stayed upstairs. So Suggs working this count a little bit. You have Donlin on deck. He's been swinging a much hotter bat of late. If these two guys could manage to get aboard, you'd turn it over to the top of the order. 2-2. Little tapper over to the left side. That's going to be a tough play. It is on time. Bang, bang play at first. I don't know if I agree with that one. So Matt Suggs is retired on a 5-3 putout, but Nathan Martorella delivers and drives in Brett Roberts. Kettleers lead 1-0. We'll go to the third on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Third inning for Dalton Rogers and the Kettleers. They lead 1-0 after Nathan Martorella had a single that was misplayed by Jace Borfin, and the speedy Brett Roberts went all the way from first to home. The Kettleers with the lead. We know what they've been able to do. Now Dalton Rogers looking to continue his success here in the third inning against 8-9-1, starting with Taylor Smith out of Texas A&M.
Well, I mean, he already has 5 strikeouts through 2 innings, so he's averaging more than 2 strikeouts per inning. 2.5 if you're a rocket scientist, but I'm not. Bottom of the order coming up. This should be his bread and butter.
The first pitch fastball up and away. It's 1-0. And Cotuit was able to strike first in the first game. They scored 2 runs in the first with Ryan Ritter walking, and then a 2-run home run to center field by Eric Brown as Taylor Smith grounds one into left field. So back-to-back innings with leadoff base hits to left field.
And 3 straight innings with a leadoff base runner. Fortunately for Rogers, he's been able to bear down and not worry about those runners too much. He does like to throw over a bit. But you're going to have the top of the order coming up. Really just want to be able to get Luke Boyers, Cody Coleman, and then Braden Taylor coming up after those guys. Don't want to let Jace Borfin, Armstrong, and Hall come up this inning.
Well, you have Boyers, who's batting 160 this season with 12 hits, a home run, and 8 RBIs. He shows bunt but pulls back on a changeup away. It's 1-0. And Boyers, he came in as a pinch hitter yesterday. I'm considering that his struggles at the plate have caused him to need some rest, but today they need him in the bottom of the order for Cotuit, trying to claim that second place spot. Right now with the lead at 1-0, looks pretty good.
Well, yeah, he came to pinch hit against the Kettleers last night. He was in relief of Braden Taylor, his TCU teammate. But he was a staple of this order, has really cooled down with the bat. Now he doesn't even have to lay down a bunt with a 3-0 count. He can just wait back and get on base. This could be a very difficult situation for Rogers.
But he may still attempt one if he doesn't walk here, if it's 3-1 in a hitter's count, because he's probably anticipating fastball at that point. But instead, Rogers loses him. That's his second walk of the game. And now there's 2 runners aboard with nobody out.
Why don't you trust me, Chris? Yesterday I called EBJ's home run out to center field. You kind of knew this was going to happen. The last start we saw out of Rogers, he only went 3 innings. Now we're in the third, and I don't know if Coach Mike Roberts is going to turn it over to his bullpen this early. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of activity, but maybe just a meeting. You just got the lead in the bottom of the second. You don't want to give it up in the top of the third. The game was very back and forth through the first 4-ish innings yesterday. You don't want to make it that way. You want to pull away and have some comfortability so Coach can have his options in the bullpen, because the next 3 games after this, like we mentioned, it is going to be bullpen heavy almost every day. I can pretty much guarantee that.
And it's about the next 3, Stefan, that just is mind-boggling, right? Because if the Kettleers are unable to win this game, it would just be set up like Friday, entering after the game Friday, where Cotuit just had the edge over Falmouth. If they win today, they would separate themselves just a little bit more. But then it would be down to the last 3 games. Peter Flaherty described it as a 3-game season.
Well, that's exactly what it's going to be. You know, you face Bourne at their place. They've had their struggles over the last few games, but they're going to play Falmouth and Cotuit particularly hard, because they're going to get their best looks, and they want to demoralize these teams, because one of these 2 teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Rogers seemingly distracted by the runner at second base in Taylor Smith. But Cotuit does have a 1-0 lead. You see Noah Bridges playing deep in right field. Carter Trice and Nathan Martorella hugging the infield grass. Case of bunt is laid down. And he will show bunt. It's in and out of Donlan's glove, but just low. 1 ball and no strikes for Cody Coleman.
And here is what concerns me about this for Cody Coleman, and the Kettleers in particular. Whenever guys try to move the runners over, especially on opposing teams, the Kettleers find a way to mess it up. They throw pass balls, they either walk the batter, they take away the free out that Cody Coleman is essentially giving you, and they award them without them having to work for it. Cody Coleman, right now, he's in control of this count with 2-0. Now, he'll probably still square around a bunt, because that's the tactic. But don't be surprised if it gets to 3-0. The bases will be loaded. Braden Taylor with nobody out.
And there's some activity in the bullpen now at this point. Rogers tries to play a back pick at second base, but no one was covering, so had to pump fake. Losing runners in the count. Started off with a base hit, then a walk to Luke Boyers, and here we are with Cody Coleman, who's ahead in the count at 2-0. The next pitch, bunt popped up. Best result. Calling off is Martorella, and there's your first out. Cody Coleman is unable to get the bunt down, and Dalton Rogers can breathe a little lighter here in the 3rd inning.
I'll tell you one thing. He wasn't able to get the bunt down, but he was able to get the bunt up. And that's the toughest thing as a hitter. You want to be able to lay that bunt down, move the runners over. And then effectively, you have the strongest part of your order coming up with 2 runners in scoring position and an out to play with.
Instead, Braden Taylor, the lefty, comes up with 1 out and 2 aboard. The first pitch, a beautiful slider away, gets the swing and miss.
That is a great slider. He kept it low and away from the left-handed hitter. Taylor wasn't going to be able to do anything with that one. Started him off about belt high and then snapped it off downstairs to the outside corner. Those are the types of pitches that batters' eyes light up at, but are so fooled by them.
The 0-1 to Taylor. Another slider blocked by Donlan. Has to keep the runner at second at bay. Just want to go over the win percentage right now between Cotuit and Falmouth. Cotuit is at .500, both record-wise And in the way the win percentage is calculated within the CCBL, Falmouth at a .4687, which is very close between the two teams. As another slider comes in the dirt, and Donlan has to quickly get to the ball before any advance from Taylor Smith. Those are the two teams in the hunt for the second place spot in the West. Cotuit controlling very closely to Falmouth. But this game would draw it even closer between those two teams. Now you have to remember, Falmouth has played one less game than Cotuit because of cancellations, so that will positively affect their win percentage if they're able to win today.
And despite Rogers' rocky outing, outside of all the strikeouts, he's kept them off the scoreboard, which is all that Coach Mike Roberts can ask him for.
Then goes with a fastball and misses it away, 3-1. So you don't want to load up the bases for Jace Borfin, because we know what he can do with the bat. Three-1 from Rogers. Lifted out to left field. Matt Suggs has it covered by the line, still going and making the catch in foul ground.
Bailed him out on that one. Got a pitch on the outer half. Tried to slap it out towards left field. Matt Suggs covered plenty of ground. Made the catch for the second out of the inning. But Jace Borfin's up.
How about Matt Suggs in left field, Stefan? For a catcher, he has incredible range tracking the baseball. There's a reason he's out there every single day. Has turned himself possibly into a left fielder beyond the CCBL. As Dalton Rogers fires in a strike on a check swing from Borfin. It's 0-1. Borfin last time struck out looking to end the first inning. After a strange start, Cody Coleman reached on a walk, then Braden Taylor struck out looking, but not before Cody Coleman was picked off at first by Dalton Rogers. The 0-1. Another check swing and another strike.
That pitch is just tantalizing. He is really hammering that slider. At first, he wasn't controlling it particularly well. Now he's hitting his spots. What a role reversal this inning has begun.
The 0-2 pitch. This time, Borfin holds off. It was a slider again, but way away.
But this type of response is something that we are not unfamiliar with Dalton Rogers. With runners in scoring position, he does not let very many guys come across.
1-2, grounded over to Eric Brown on one hop. He'll throw over to first, and once again, Dalton Rogers gets out of it. We head to the bottom of the third on the Cotuit Kettleers Digital Network. Bottom of the third inning with the hot-hitting Matt Donlin leading off. He's batting .241 this season, Stefan. Another surprise, as he was way down in the low 100s for the majority of the season, but has really found stride now with 14 hits and 6 batted in. He has cemented himself as that starting catcher, and offensively has followed up with that as well.
Well, if you can get a catcher that's going to sit around the mid-200s in batting average, but plays excellent defensive catcher like Donlin does, that is certainly a huge tool to have in your arsenal. And Donlin has been very, very, very good for the Kettleers.
The 0-1 from Stone. Breaking ball chopped up the middle. Short hop the Colden at shortstop, I'll throw over to first for the first out.
Good stretch by Armstrong over at first. Snow coned the throw, but what a play by Colden. Had to pick that ball pretty much off of a short hop, and ranging to his left, had to fire his hips towards the first base bag. Threw a perfect strike over to Armstrong just in time to get Donlin for the first out of the inning.
And Stefan, the Kettleers have put every single batter except Brett Roberts has put the ball in play. It's a first pitch breaking ball, and a pretty one falls in for a strike against Jace Grady, who gave the ball a ride in right field. Jace Borfin had to recover, make a nice leaping catch in right field just above the hill.
Jace Grady has just been tattooing the baseball.
And he grounds it up the middle, and how many times have we seen that as it hits the second base bag? He's heading for second base. He's playing him low. He got in safely. He legs out a double. He caught the Falmouth Commodores defense sleeping, and we've got a runner in scoring position.
He is just an all-time talent of a baseball player. He is unbelievable. You know, we looked at him and we looked at the comparisons to River Town when River Town was here, and no discredit to River, but he's better than River Town is. Both from Dallas Baptist, Grady a little bit younger, projected to be one of the high draft choices next year. He has provided such a huge spark to this offense.
I think they both have plenty of talent. It's just Jace Grady has been able to settle in longer, and I don't believe River Town's a starting center fielder. I think he's more of a corner outfielder than anything. He was put in a position where he had to lead off most of the games. And Jace Grady has absolutely assumed that role. As Carter Trice takes a strike, it's a ball and one strike. Grady at second base after legging out an incredible double. Ground ball up the middle that hit the first base bag. The defense was frozen. He decided to take second base. Now Carter Trice, who flew out to right his last time up, is up again. Takes another pitch low, 2 balls and a strike. Not the same high-scoring affair start for Cotuit. Last game, through the third inning, they scored 4 runs. It's still a possibility. Grady on second base. That pitch from Stone gets Trice out in front. A nice slider away. Stone still looking for his first strikeout of the game, which is hard to believe. High-velocity guy. Should be able to blow it right by the Kettleers hitters. 2-2 pitch, it's fouled away. In his last appearance, which was against Cotuit, he didn't have a strikeout either, but he did have 4 walks and an earned run. Has well surpassed his game last time where he only went 2/3 of an inning. We're now in the third inning. He's gone 2 1/3, possibly could get to 2 2/3 if he could strike out Carter Trice here. 2-2 pitch, way off the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Trice has worked the full count.
Well, you have a base to give, but you don't want to put a ton of base runners aboard for Ryan Ritter, who's on deck, and possibly even more so with Eric Brown coming up after him, with how well he's done with RISP this season.
3-2. Stone misses, and now 2 runners are aboard for Ryan Ritter.
Second walk of his outing. Comes at a really bad time. Needed that out with a runner in scoring position. pretty much guarantee that Ritter's going to make contact with the baseball. It's just a matter of, is it going to get caught, is it going to be on the ground, or is it going to find a gap or possibly go over the wall?
Stone's going to step off, readjust. Ryan Ritter in the conversation for the CCBL batting title. First pitch comes in, he'll jump all over it and foul it away. 91. Stone, we've seen him rev it up to 96, 97, so taking a little bit off to get back in the zone.
Velocity hasn't really been harmful for Ritter. He has been able to catch up to most of the pitches that he's seen this season. Bat speed has become light years different than what it was at the beginning of the season. It seemed like he was swinging a boat oar up there, but didn't have the width of a boat oar to make a ton of contact.
So the 0-1 to Ritter. Stays upstairs, 1 ball and 1 strike. And I have turned into an immense fan of Ryan Ritter over the last couple of games as he takes a slider for a called strike, 1 ball and 2 strikes now.
Well, you could talk about how much of a fan you are as a player, but as a person, he might be even better. Just one of the nicest guys, super humble, plays with a chip on his shoulder. One of those junior college prospects, and that's probably going to be a balk.
We've seen our healthy dose of balks over the last 3 or so games.
Usually our team has been on the giving end of those, though. It's nice that the Kettleers are going to be bailed out by one here. Now Ritter with one swing of the bat can easily drive in two.
1-2 breaking ball. Defensive swing up the middle. Nice play by Cody Coleman, but no throw will be made, and Jace Grady comes in to score. Ryan Ritter once again drives in a run. That's his 6th RBI of the season and 27th hit for the Kettleers.
That'll be the first official earned run by Stone. Of course, an error by Jace Borfin out in the outfield. The second inning was what allowed Brett Roberts to come in to score off a Nathan Martorella hit. Quite the ask, trying to get Eric Brown out for a second time. This time with runners in scoring position makes it even more difficult.
Eric Brown with runners in scoring position is a very tough opponent for the other pitchers. Stone will throw over to first. It's short hopped Armstrong, but made a nice pick with a backhand. And what started the season as EB being a pure pull hitter. We saw yesterday his ability to go to all fields. Home run to center field in the first inning. Straight away center, I might add. 1-0 stays up. 2 balls and no strikes for number 2.
Well, and it's worth mentioning how well he had been hitting at Gov Fuller Field. Just hadn't been rewarded. Got a little bit of wind yesterday. Hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. Kiss the barrel of the bat, too.
Very friendly count. This slider misses again, and Stone has no answer for the 3 and 4 hitters of the Kettleers so far.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brown swings on this 3-0 count. I think if anything's close, we're going to see him get something he likes, especially with the wind blowing out towards left center.
Well, he didn't swing and drew a 4-pitch walk to load up the bases for Noah Bridges. That's the 3rd walk issued by Stone.
Well, this inning, if they could manage to play it a couple more guys, the Kettleers can effectively punch their ticket as the number 2 seed team. Because if they win this game, it is going to be extremely hard for Falmouth to recover.
There will be a conversation at the pitcher's mound, but let's just break this down, Stefan. In the 3rd inning, offensively, started off with a ground out to short, then a Jace Grady unorthodox double off of a ground ball to center field, then a walk,
an RBI single, and then another walk, bringing up Noah Bridges, who entered this game batting .289. And he is the definition of a player that made one adjustment and has found incredible success here in the CCBL.
Well, he'll be entering his 5th year at UNC Wilmington, and outside of the age component, if you take that off the table, I think he's one of the best players in the CCBL pound for pound. And I mean that. He is a guy that plays with grit, hustles on every ball he makes contact with, excellent defensive skills, a great arm, and now has added power to his arsenal as a hitter, which is something that he didn't really have at UNC Wilmington.
So Bridges will step in, and we were talking about him with a few Kettleers fans, and they just said he came out of nowhere, which is true. One day we didn't have him, and the next day we did, and I'm sure thankful that we have him now, especially in this situation. First pitch to Bridges. Backdoor slider stays up. It's 1-0.
It's 5 straight balls from Stone. He's losing control. He's losing the zone here, and if he places one over the middle of the plate, watch what he can do with it.
It is over the middle, and it's lifted high and deep to left center field. That's going to get down. Trice coming in to score. Rounding third and coming home is Ritter, and Eric Brown's going to hold up at third base. A 2 RBI double for Noah Bridges. It's 4-0 Kettleers.
Well, they call him Noah Bridges, but he might be named after the wrong piece of infrastructure. They should call him Noah Highway because, man, he is racing around the bags at such a high rate over these last couple of games.
Well, you know what about highways as well. Usually the fastest route to bring people home. Noah Bridges brought 2 home there, making it 4-0 and passing the baton to the scalding hot Brett Roberts, who takes the first pitch up and away for a strike.
Well, and you also get great fuel economy on the highways, which, if you're talking about efficiency, a double to the gap that scores 2 is pretty efficient. One swing of the bat brings in 2 more runs. Kettleers up 4-0.
Brett Roberts up the middle. Eric Brown coming home. Here comes Bridges. It's bobbled in center field. No play. 6-0.
And this is the gauntlet. Kettleers are really trying to put the nail in the coffin here early at Lowell Park. Brett Roberts continues. My goodness, what an emergence of bats over the last few games.
That's RBIs 14 and 15 for B-Rob as that ball gets away. There will be no throw to second base. Everything is going right for the Kettleers in the 3rd inning, and in fact, they've gone ahead of their total of yesterday, where they finished with 4 through 3. Now they have 6. to Martorella. Fly ball to center field. Handle will cover it and make the catch. Now tagging is Roberts. The throw is on line, but late. And we are seeing the 9th hitter in the 3rd inning of Matt Suggs, who grounded out to third base his first time up. 5 runs have come in to score. All of them earned for Stone. So the Kettleers just needed a second time through the order to see this guy start punishing the baseball. They were putting it in play all game long. He's yet to record a strikeout. 5 hits against him for 6 runs. As Suggs lifts it high and deep to left center field. Is it gone? It is! A 2-run home run for Matt Suggs. And he was looking for that one.
got his first of his CCBL career. That ball was torched by Matt Suggs. Drops the head of the bat, golfs it out into left center field, and Noah Bridges is fired up for his teammate. The Kets are rolling here at Lowell Park. The fans are alive. This feels like playoff baseball, Chris.
Absolutely. Adam Stone has been punished by the offense. And you still have to face Matt Donlin with the bases cleared now, but Cotuit up 8-0. So they double their total from yesterday, where they scored 4 runs through 3. Now they have 8. You have to assume they're going to the bullpen here, and they will. Stone's day is done. 8 runs come in to score, 7 of them here in the 3rd inning. We'll be back with a new pitcher up next.
With tonight being Host Family Appreciation Night at Lowell Park, we wanted to highlight some of our amazing host families. Now I am being joined by the Bice family. Tell me a little bit about your first year as a host family and your experience.
It's been wonderful. We've had the opportunity to host 2 great kids. One of them was just drafted by the Pirates, and we now have Eldridge Figueroa with us. We have the room. We enjoy taking care of people. We just moved back here and wanted to be part of the community, so we decided to take the plunge, and there's no looking back. It's been great.
How's it been having 2 host brothers in the house with you?
It's been amazing. It's been so much fun.
Back to you guys.
Lucas Gordon on in relief. All he needs to do is get 1 more out to stop the bleeding. Cotuit leads 8-0 after a 7-run 3rd. First pitch is called strike to Matt Donlin. First 6 hitters came in to score.
Yeah, well, this is the 10th batter of the inning.
And Donlin lines it into left field. Is that going to drop in? It will. Matt Donlin continues his hitting streak here against Falmouth. And Falmouth has not been able to find an answer to Cotuit over the last 2 games. They now have 51 runs scored over the last 5 they've played. This season, Lucas Gordon is 1-0 with a 2.31 ERA, 6 games, 1 started. As Grady tees off to center field, looks like it'll stay in the park for Handel. Will make the catch for the 3rd out.
7 runs come in to score in the third. We head to the fourth on the Kettleers Digital Network. Well, in the fourth inning, we go from a comfortable situation to a very comfortable situation. The Kettleers are up 8-0 now after a 7-run third. Dalton Rogers commanding that lead and finding ways to get out of jams. Kind of lost my tongue there.
Well, I don't think anybody's beating this team offensively. And 20 hits again, not too far out of reach with 7 already. We're not even through the fourth.
1-1 to Armstrong. Blows by a fastball, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Armstrong, one of 2 players to have a hit against Dalton Rogers. He led off the second, the base hit to left field. Now he's leading off the fourth. Fastball up and away, 2-2.
Kettleers have actually gone past their hit total in yesterday's game. They had 5 through 3 and then just poured it open the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Everyone is getting in on the action. Only 2 players yet to get a hit yet. Well, that's redundant. Yet to get a hit. Trice and Eric Brown, but they both scored a run, so they've contributed as well as having walks to their names. It's 3-2 to Armstrong. And how many times have we said that this game? Dalton Rogers at a 3-2 count. Doesn't want to walk another leadoff hitter. 3-2, and he does just that. Armstrong reaches for the second time this game. The third walk from Dalton Rogers. Coach Roberts has seen enough. He's going to go to the bullpen with an 8-0 lead. Rogers does inherit that runner at first base. We'll see who comes out up next. Kettleers have put on their first reliever. It's Trevor Kunkel out of George Washington here in the fourth. He'll throw over to first to start it off against Anthony Hall. First pitch is low and away. 1 ball and no strikes. I turned off the wrong microphone. You're just looking at me with incredible disappointment, but you know what? It happens. Nice pitch there, a slider. Gets him to swing and miss.
You know, it's 8-0. Throw a lot of things out the window. We're going to start having some guests flow into the booth. Should be a good conversation, but the Kettleers are very much in the driver's seat of this game. But the heart of the order is up for the Commodores and a new pitcher.
That ball skips away. Armstrong is going to take second base. That's a wild pitch.
Yeah, Donlin did a good job of trying to get his shoulder on it. Fortunately, Armstrong hadn't reached second base because it went into the dugout. I don't know what the ruling would have been there if it went into the dugout after he'd already reached second base, if he would have been able to go to third. But still, a runner in scoring position with nobody out.
Let's look at Kunkel's numbers because he's been an incredible reliever since coming onto the scene here in Cotuit. 0-0 with a 2.45 ERA in 4 games. He's started none. 7 1/3 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, but 4 walks. 2-1. A nice fastball. Gets Anthony Hall's helmet to fall off. Cotuit's relievers have started to find their stride in the positions that they've been put in. Expect to see Kunkel. Maybe we'll see Harrison Cohen, his teammate, follow him up. 2-2 pitch. Just fouled away. Kunkel in his last performance was July 30th in our 12-5 win against Wareham, which effectively removed them from playoff contention. He went an inning, gave up 2 runs off of 2 hits with a walk and a strikeout. Two. Hall fouls it away. Cars beware. So that goes over the screening. But Cotuit had an 8-0 lead. As we said before, 51 runs scored over the last 5 games. And we're not even through the 4th inning yet. So really taking it to Falmouth here. The offense coming alive at the right time in the season. As Kunkel misses up and away. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Now, I know you have an 8-run lead and you're extremely comfortable, but what you don't want to do for Falmouth, start to let them get some confidence, start to chip away at this lead, because it is only the top of the 4th inning. There's plenty of time to make a run. As the Kettleers displayed, they can score 7 runs, but this Falmouth team, no strangers to scoring runs in bulk. Go and get their runs over at Costco.
BJ's Wholesale. We're up in the north.
Yep, BJ's Wholesale Club. That's true. Connor Breen, our community relations intern.
Great employee.
Also works there.
3-2 broken bat. He's going to have to get another as that trickles foul. Scoring in bunches. Wholesale, bulk. I like it. I like it a lot. I also like this 8-0 scoreline.
Well, recently scoring in bulk looks like the Kettleers have bought a membership to that. I mean, Falmouth kind of has those temporary passes. Go at it 1 game at a time, but the Kettleers have averaged over 10 runs a game for the last 4, and I wouldn't be surprised if they score 10 or more here in this game.
We're talking about this offensive explosion for Cotuit. Yesterday they entered the game with a .253 team average. You know what they left with? As the 3-2 comes in, check swing, it won't matter. He's rung up on the outside corner. And Anthony Hall has a few words for Rick Emerson before going to the dugout. The first out of the 4th. So going back to what I said, Stefan. Do you know what their team average jumped to?
237.
No, jumped up to. There's a high drive into center field. Jace Grady's still going. He's going to look up and watch that hit the scoreboard. 2-run home run for Michael Curiali makes it 8-2. Wow, that's his third of the season.
Like I said, don't give Falmouth any momentum. He left that one over the middle of the plate. Curiali smoked it. Hit it right off the number 8 that Cotuit had put up on the scoreboard. He said, hey, you guys may be able to say scoreboard, but this baseball is going to say scoreboard too. Now they've got a quarter of the lead back.
Just want to go back to that team average point, even though that was a deep home run from Curiali. Those are RBIs 17 and 18 on his season. Cotuit entered this game batting .261 after their 20-hit performance yesterday. That's hard to do. Jump up 8 points in average this late in the season. That's good for the league best, according to John Garner and Larry Egan on WEEI. Kunkel still going right at hitters. Handall misses on a changeup there with a very exaggerated swing. He'll swing again at a changeup. Now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kunkel in the driver's seat here with 1 out. So Dalton Rogers does have a blemish on his day. Earns 1 of those runs off of the home run. Went 3 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs. 1 of them earned 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. I think you'll take that with now a 6-run lead, but up 8-0 when he left the game. The 2-2. There's the changeup there. It doesn't get the call. Count is full.
Well, and the final line for Rogers is now available. He went 3+, gave up 2 hits, no runs, 1 of which was earned, though, with that home run.
Chopper past the diving glove of Trice. In the hole for Ritter. It's a high throw. It gets over Martorella, but no advance from first base. Almost the best play in the CCBL this year by Ryan Ritter.
That's the right call. Give him a hit. Almost an impossible play. Ryan Ritter showing off the arm strength. Just a little too strong on that throw. I like the gutsiness to try and make that play. Fortunately for him, there was backup, but that is an incredible throw despite how inaccurate it was in terms of height. It was on target in terms of the space around the first base bag. If he lowers that one, he might have gotten him.
So the second hit given up by Kunkel. The third batter faced. He now has to turn it over to Taylor Smith, who has a hit in this game. Single in the third to lead off. First pitch slider runs way inside. He had to move out of the way of that one. 1 ball and no strikes. One-0 pitch, fastball inside, gets the swing. Unable to make contact is Smith. Double play ball would get the Kettleers out of it. It is a 6-run lead after a 2-run home run from Michael Curiali. Fastball low, 2 balls and a strike.
And here's what you can anticipate is that Falmouth is not going to go silently in this game. They are going to scratch and claw and fight their way back from this deficit and trust their relievers that they can hold this game at 8-2.
That pitch doesn't get the call. It's 3-1. And a good situation for Taylor Smith to keep it going. 2 consecutive hits from Curiali and Handall. Or should I say Handel. Three-1. Rounded foul. Kunkel puts himself back in the count, running it full. And Stefan, the last thing the Kettleers want to do is allow the Commodores to chip away because these teams have gone back and forth, especially considering the first 2 games at Gov Fuller Field. The Kettleers won both of them, but only by 1 run, and it was in dramatic fashion to end the games in closeout situations in the 9th. 3-2 from Kunkel. Got him swinging. A nice slider away. Gets the second out of the 4th. A much more comfortable situation for number 39.
Well, Smith swung at ball 4. That just is the deceptive aspect of that slider. He kept it low the whole way. For some reason, Smith thought he could have made contact on it. would have walked to first base, had runners on first and second with only one out for the bottom of the order and a potential to turn it over to the top of the order. But that is a huge strikeout for Kunkel, one we'll look back on later in this game.
First pitch from Kunkel is a strike to Luke Boyers, who walked his last and only time up. Started off here with a nice pitch from Kunkel, commanding the fastball, a nice changeup, and a slider, as we saw to retire Taylor Smith on strikes. There's the changeup there, but it misses 1-1. One to Boyers. Blowing by a fastball, and Kunkel really establishing himself and getting ahead in the count against the opposition. Can he get out of it with just 2 runs against the Kettleers? In the bottom of the order in Luke Boyers. 1-2 pitch. Fastball runs inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Count is even. Falmouth at a .229 team average entering this game, 167 runs scored. Now 169 as Boyers turns on that pitch. Heading in foul ground. Will Suggs be able to make a play on it? He will not. Goes all the way to the wall to see if he had a chance. Two again from Kunkel. High fly ball into center field. Grady breaking back. Looks like it'll stay in the yard for out number 3. It's 8-2 after a 2-run home run from Michael Curiali. We head to the bottom of the 4th. Two runs came in to score for Falmouth in the top of the 4th inning. Now the Kettleers look to keep adding on more after 7 runs came in to score in their offensive half of the 3rd, starting with Carter Trice, who has flown out to right field, walked, and later scored in that big 3rd inning for Cotuit. They control the lead thus far. First pitch to him is a nice looping breaking ball for a strike.
Trice looking to pick up, another hit to try and get him back into the situation that he was in. He got up to around the 280s with his batting average. Now has dropped back below 240. It's all relative, right? Talked about Ryan Ritter, where he was standing just a few short games ago, around 220 this season. Now he's well above 300.
0-2 and a nice pitch on the inside corner, but it doesn't get the call. This is really where we'll see the first of Gordon in relief. He'll have the bases cleared, the inning all to himself. He did have a hit against him by Matt Donlin in that big third inning. Got out of it with a fly out to center field. Now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Trice.
Well, Gordon's job is just to keep this at a 6-run lead for Cotuit. Nothing more than that. Bats have proven they can get on base. They just haven't capitalized for Falmouth.
The 2-2 to Trice. Chopped to third base. Tough backhand by Taylor. Long throw, but an accurate one for the first out.
Man, what a throw by Taylor at third base. Deep back near the outfield grass. Threw a bullseye over to Armstrong at first and pretty much beat Trice by 3 steps.
Ryan Ritter now up with just 1 out. Last time he had an RBI single in the third inning. Takes a pitch upstairs. 1-0. And we have witnessed the resurgence of Ryan Ritter over the last couple of games as he takes a breaking ball. Now he's ahead 2-0, and this is just where he wants to put Gordon. Didn't play poorly at Kentucky, and then at Fond du Lac over the summer in the Northwoods League had success, but not like he's had here in the CCBL as he runs in and hits him on the elbow. Ritter reaches for the second time in as many innings, bringing up Eric Brown, who walked and later scored, looking for his first hit of the contest.
So we've highlighted Ryan Ritter's batting average. The next question is, over the same stretch that he's made such big improvements with hitting, what about his on-base percentage? That's something that I'd love to know because he just gets aboard.
First pitch to Eric Brown, and he jumps all over it. Handle going back at the wall. It is gone! 2 home runs in 2 games, bat flip it all. It is 10-2 Cotuit.
I mean, he is on some type of streak. Ryan Ritter, Eric Brown, you could not find a better 3-4 punch in the entire CCBL. These guys are looking like they're ready to be MLB All-Stars. It's just unbelievable. This team is so ready for the playoffs. They can taste it. They're hungry for it. My goodness.
You still have to face Noah Bridges with just 1 out, so the 8-run lead is back for Cotuit. They have 8 hits. Now after that Eric Brown home run, there's only 1 player left that has yet to get a hit, and that's Carter Trice. So everybody else has had a hit. 1 ball and no strikes to Noah Bridges. That makes Alan Gladstone very happy. Sounds like his words of encouragement are working here at Lowell Park.
Well, it'll definitely make him lazy. He doesn't have to say have a hit at all. Kettleers already have 8 of them, 10 runs on 8 hits. This is just an offensive explosion here at Lowell Park.
So let's put this in perspective for Ritter. On June 27th, he had an on-base percentage of 200. Entering this game, 432. 232-point bump since being inserted as a starting shortstop. And his OPS has also flourished as well. And that game had a 311 OPS. 857 entering this game and counting. 2-2 to Bridges. He's out in front on a breaking ball. That's the first strikeout for Lucas Gordon, and he needed it as it's 10-2.
So now the Kettleers have scored in 3 consecutive innings. They had a 5-inning streak yesterday in Falmouth. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Roberts fouls this one away. 3 defenders will give chase, but won't get to it. It actually stayed in the field of play. Roberts is notorious for jumping all over the first pitch, but there couldn't keep it between the lines. Roberts had a 2 RBI single his last time up, and here just gets a piece of a breaking ball. He's behind 0-2. He's reached base twice with a walk and a 2 RBI single in the 3rd, as well as scored 2 runs for this team. And I think that you have to call this 3, 4, 5, and 6 hitters the gauntlet at this point for opposing pitchers. 0-2 went up with a fastball, and he did beat Brett Roberts there. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gordon. Not before a 2-run Eric Brown home run. That's his 5th of the season. We head to the 5th on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Well, we're here in the top of the 5th inning. The Kettleers added 2 more in the bottom of the 4th. 10-2 your score. Stephen Carey joined by a very special guest, Chuck Sturdivant, the president of the CCBL.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you in here. And again, you're also the president of the Falmouth Commodores. Is this a bit of a conflict of interest being here, you think?
Well, I was a lifetime member in Falmouth. I was GM for 25 years, and then a couple of years ago, the president got sick with a brain tumor, and they asked me if I could help, and next thing I know, I was president. So,
as the 1-0 pitch falls in for a strike to Cody Coleman, making it 1-1. Now, this has been an unprecedented year, to say the least, for the CCBL. What has it been like trying to figure out how this is all going to go down and just watching everything come to fruition on the field here this summer in 2021?
Well,
as there's a bouncing ball over to Trice. He'll hop, fire off the mark to first. Nathan Martorella can't handle it, and Colden's going to chug into second base after a throwing error by Trice. He has struggled over at the hot corner. I'll turn it over to you.
March 15th, we weren't sure if we were going to play this year. The state had a mandate that if we did play, we could only have 150 in attendance, and basically no franchise could survive with that kind of attendance in a given year. So it was May 15th when they finally opened it up, and that gave us the relief that we felt we needed to go ahead and play a full 40-game schedule.
What has it been like to be at these games, to see the atmosphere, to see the turnout in a year where we really didn't think we were going to have baseball? I mean, we were sitting back when we first got this internship and we're like, are they going to play? Is this going to happen? What is baseball on Cape Cod going to look like this summer for you, just being at the center of all of it? How much of a relief is it that we're almost at the final stretch, almost in the playoffs here in the CCBL?
It's a big relief, believe me. The first night that we opened up and they said play ball, the pressure kind of relieved me a little bit. We have so many volunteers, committee people that have worked so hard throughout, even last year when we weren't playing. We still met. We met with Board of Health directors from all 10 teams, and we coordinate a policy and procedures in place, and it appears it has worked.
As Taylor lines one out towards right center field, Bridges leaps and makes the catch near the wall. What a play. Cody Coleman's going to try to tag into third. The throw is just a bit late. He'll dive in. But an incredible catch in right field by Noah Bridges. He's doing it all. Sorry, there's so much action going on this inning. I feel like this interview is getting a little bit interrupted, but
that's fine.
I think there's a lot of fans out that don't quite understand the winning percentage idea. I've tried explaining it to them. How did you guys come up with that? Because it's ingenious when you take into account the amount of games that are being played, the amount of cancellations. Of course, Lowell Park notorious for darkness cancellations and no makeup dates.
No.
How did you guys put your heads together and say, this is how we are going to find out who makes the playoffs?
Well, in the past, we've always did points. 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, so it was fairly easy. This year, though, because not all the teams will play the same number of games, we had to come up with something different. So we basically said, all right, you get 1 point for a win, a half a point for a tie, and you divide it by the number of games played by that team, and that comes out to the winning percentage. And it seems to be working.
Well, it's an unbelievable strategy. It also allows me to stretch my legs every morning with my basic math on the calculator. I have to make sure and see what's right. But what you see on Point Streak sometimes can be deceiving. You can see a team that's ranked 4th on Point Streak with the point system, but then you take into account, hey, they've played less games, and they have, a better winning percentage moving forward. And in a season where the top 2 teams in each division are going to the playoffs, you need to have that pretty much tied down.
Yep, you need some method to come up with it, and the brain trusts of the league came up with this idea. We got it certified by our head scorekeeper, who actually scores for Major League Baseball, and he said this is what they've done in the past at minor league levels, and so we instituted it, and hopefully it's going to work out at the end.
Well, it looks like we're going to have a pitching change. Harrison Cohen's going to come in. We'll give you a little bit more information after this. We'll be back. Chuck Sturdivant, Stephen Carey on the Kettleers Digital Network. All right, so we're back. Harrison Cohen on the mound. He will come in relief of Trevor Kunkel. He went 1 1/3 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs. We don't know the earned run total because he does have runners on the corners with only 1 out. Gave up a walk and 2 strikeouts. Of course, we're here with Chuck Sturdivant, the president of the CCBL, also the president of the Falmouth Commodores, as that changeup misses outside to Chris Armstrong. So how did you get involved in the CCBL? That's my question. You obviously have such a great knowledge of the teams, the programs, the inner workings of the game. What's your story?
Well, I own part owner of a company in Falmouth, and I used to go to the games, and one night I decided to donate $100 for baseballs, I think it was, and next thing I know, they wanted me to be the president of the franchise, and that was 1987. And I had that year Tino Martinez play for me in first base, and it was all uphill after that. I just loved the game. I loved the league and what we represent and the opportunity.
So Armstrong gets underneath one. Ritter will camp underneath just shy of the outfield grass for the second out of the inning. So Harrison Cohen quickly makes his presence known and gets him to pop out to short for the second out. Now that's an incredible story. Who would have thought that $100 would have led to such an illustrious career here at the CCBL for you?
No, and like I say, it's 35 years, and I love it. I have 1 more year as a president of the league. My term ends next year. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Anthony Hall, line drive, fair ball. That's going to be trouble. 1 run will come in to score. Jace Borfin's rounding third. They're going to wave him. Anthony Hall coming in, and he'll slide in for a triple. That throw gets away. Hall might have a Little League home run. Could it be back-to-back days? It is. 5-10. Wow, that is unbelievable. Back-to-back games with a Little League home run. Anthony Hall earned at least a triple out of that one. Now the Kettleers are in a bit of a shaky position. Wonder how he scored that one. You want to take a crack at it?
I'd say the throw on error on the throw that allowed him to score, but I think it was a triple.
I believe it was a triple. And we will give credit to 2 of those runs to Anthony Hall. I believe that's the right way to go about it. First hit allowed by Harrison Cohen. Of course, 2 of those runs will go to Trevor Kunkel. As Michael Curiali's back up, he had a 2-run shot his last time up. So these 2 guys score. Then we have a throwing error by one of the middle infielders. I forget which one it was. I'm assuming it's Eric Brown because the relay came in from right field. So 2 runs come in on 1 hit. Harrison Cohen on his watch has given up pretty big moment for the Falmouth Commodores. 10-5 the score now. Of course, those are 3 runs fully inherited by Trevor Kunkel. So he ends the day 1 1/3. As Curiali lifts one out into the shallow part of right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. So hold on a second. The Commodores are rolling here in the 5th. So Kunkel, his day is done, but Harrison Cohen looking to pick up the pieces here, but struggling early. Anyway, let's get back to our conversation. I feel like the Commodores just really want to have some action while we're trying to do this interview, but
it's not over with. No game is, but to me, it's a crowd pleaser. Every side is happy, thrilled, cheering on, and that's what it's all about.
I think you're absolutely right about that. As that's the second error this inning. Cotuit with 2, Falmouth with 1 in a game that is following a 7-error game yesterday. Falmouth had 4, Cotuit had 3. So defense has not been at a premium lately.
No, that's for sure.
A lot of this damage has been done with 2 outs. So anyway, now Falmouth. I know you have close ties to the Commodores. Do you have a favorite ballpark? Putting you on the spot.
I love Cotuit. I love Lowell Park only because, I have a relationship. The Elizabeth Lowell, son, and I were partners together in the business in Falmouth. And, I knew her. I knew what she meant to the community. And to have this beautiful ballpark that is so, what's the word? A band shell type situation. It's what true baseball is all about. And that's what this field represents.
Certainly a diamond nestled between some trees in the small village of Cotuit. This fan base loves to get out here. And I've never experienced playoff baseball.
Oh, wait till you see it.
And that's the question I'm coming with. In a word, describe playoff baseball in the CCBL in one word.
Amazing.
Amazing. As that one gets away from Donlin, and this inning is becoming nightmarish for the Kettleers.
You can have 4,000 to 5,000 people here, and you wonder where the hell they're parking. I know at times they've had bus service from, I think it's the Stop and Shop, to bring fans in because they can only park so many cars.
I can only base it off of what I saw on opening day. We had 2,021 people,
Yep.
and people said the atmosphere felt like a playoff game, and this community in particular has been itching for baseball. Of
Yep.
course, the pandemic set back plenty of things for the Kettleers and for the community as a whole.
Yeah, all the franchises this year have reported double the attendance, double the merchandise sales, clinics, and so on. And so hopefully each franchise will come out of this a lot stronger financially.
As Cohen gets him to swing and miss, and it's 1-2. Cats have a chance to get out of the inning, but Wolves are at the door. They're knocking. 2 runners in scoring position, 2 outs. I'll have plenty more questions for you at the bottom of the 5th inning, but I think we should just sit back and watch what Taylor Smith can do here. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Donlin will try to apply the tag. He'll fire over to Nathan Martorella, and Cohen gets out of it. Commodores strand 2, but add 3. Your score 10-5. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th on the Kettleers Digital Network. So a couple of big innings for both teams. Your score now 10-5. Stephen carries Chuck Sturdivant here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Nathan Martorella coming up. He's 1 for 2 with a single in the 2nd. But I know you're president of the CCBL. What is your baseball background? What is it about this game? When did you realize you loved the game of baseball? Just anything about you growing up, loving the sport. I'd love to hear your input.
Well, grew up as a Red Sox fan, having lived north of Boston. I played in the Inner City League, and then I went to Vietnam during the war, and so ended up going to college at night at Northeastern when I got out. But I loved the game, and so in '81 when I moved down here, I had gone to see some Cape League games, and I fell in love with it, and here it is 35 years later.
Well, first off, thank you for your service. I didn't know that, but that is phenomenal. I mean, just such a great history. You mentioned you played in the Inner City League. We actually had a game against an Inner City League game.
Yep. Lexington, I believe.
The Lexington Blue Sox, yes. They've had quite the stretch in the Inner City League. It's so nice to see. This seems like the fertile crescent of amateur baseball in the United States. Right up here in New England and Massachusetts, of course, you have the NECBL. And that's just great to see all these players flocking up here.
No, we're very fortunate. And the Cape League has such a history. Back in, I think it was 1865 when the posters from, I think it was Barnstable against Sandwich is at the Hall of Fame. And basically that's when it was all town teams. But then in the early 60s, they started bringing in outside college ball players. And I think it was 82, I believe, is when we went to the wood bat, and that's when it all changed.
Smartarella's down on strikes with a high fastball. It's such a rich history, right? You have the early 1900s teams, heck, sometimes even the late 1800s teams that sort of started and paved the way for what the CCBL is now. Then you have the modern era, these teams coming in, the Upper Cape, the Lower Cape divisions, just such rich history in the Cape. Something I want to talk about is pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And pitching in particular has been a huge question for the CCBL. A lot of these guys have to be pulled in from their colleges late in the season because that is the primary need. What is that like, especially being a former GM, trying to piece together a lineup that can win ball games down the stretch in a season?
Well, it's difficult. In my early years, we only had an 18-man roster and played 44 games, but I had two-way guys back then, and your pitchers would pitch 8-9 innings, and then they'd do the outfield or first base the next game. So, but we were able to do it, and but then I think it was 92 when we increased it to 21 players, and it was all because of pitching, and it's just progressed since, and now up to 30 ball players. Because of pitching.
2-1 to Matt Suggs. He hammered a 2-run home run out to left center field. Talking about players in general, the draft has been a huge knockout blow to a lot of these teams. They have struggled to find an identity. The Kettleers finding it recently. You think we're going to see a trend moving forward of teams starting to move away from draft-eligible players so that they don't lose them in the middle of the season?
Some teams already have. I know in Falmouth they had 2 draft-eligible players. And other teams now are starting to learn. Now, if the draft is moved back to June, that certainly helps. And especially where you have temp players coming in, those guys could be your draft-eligible players. And who knows, if, especially with a 20-round draft, they may not get the money that they expected. So they want to come back and show what they have. So you never know.
Certainly quite the test for GMs to piece together teams when you lose half of really your organization, the heart and the soul of what these fans are coming out to see, your highlight players. But that's how you get the big stories. Logan Maitland, Noah Bridges on this team in particular have emerged seemingly out of nowhere as 2 of the biggest pieces, as there's a check swing by Suggs, and he's down on strikes. The appeal over to the first base umpire said he went around. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gordon. That's how we start off the bottom of the 5th inning. What has been the defining memory for you this season so far? Have you had a moment where you've really been able to sit back and say, hey, this is incredible. I can't believe that this is happening? Or when did it really hit you that you could take that deep breath and say, wow, we get to play baseball this summer, and this is what we've accomplished? Did anything just come to mind?
Well, I think I have to be honest, I think probably about last week when we have gone almost through a good part of the season and not having any COVID crisis. I mean, that has been on my mind from day one. It cost the league almost $400,000 for all the testing that we do. The COVID captains, we are paying them to be up each team. But we did it because we wanted to play baseball.
As Donlin gets into one, he lifts it out towards center field. Not far enough. Handel will make the catch. Well, Mr. Sturdivant, thank you so much for coming on, and it should be plenty exciting down the stretch. 10-5 score, but the playoffs coming soon, and I can't wait to see more of you, possibly hear more from you here on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. We'll go to the 6th on the Ketts Digital Network. Top of the 6th inning for the Cotuit Kettleers Digital Network. Chris Carey with John Garner of WEEI, radio station that brings you the game of the week, where Cotuit and Falmouth are facing off here. The score 10-5. Harrison Cohen on the mound in his second inning of work. It was a little bit shaky last inning. After a triple with an error, scored 3 runs, and Anthony Hall came in to score. It's now, like we said, 10-5. And John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today. I guess turnaround's fair play. Last time you were here, we had you guys on. You and your brother both on, which was great.
It was certainly a lot of fun and a great honor to be in the booth with you and Larry, who have done a wonderful job for a very long time here in the CCBL. Seeing all these great players play, a lot of legends coming through the last decade or so. First pitch for Cohen is outside against Luke Boyers, the number 9 hitter.
Yeah, actually almost 2 decades. I believe we started the Game of the Week in 2002. This is the 4th radio station we've been on, all 4 of them, in the same company, starting on Cool 102, over to Pixie 103 for a year, I think. And then we were on WXDK, the all-news station here on the Cape, 95.1, and then for the past decade on WEEI, the sports radio station 96.3. Of course, that's the flagship station for the Boston Red Sox. They also carry the Bruins, Celtics, and Patriots. So, between the 2 stations, XDK and EEI. And tonight's game, we have to actually get off the air at, make this call here.
Just a short little chopper to Nathan Martorella. Good recovery from Harrison Cohen to get over to first for the first out of the 6th inning. I'm just going to start you right off. The game of the week is very important for all of us. It highlights some broadcasters, and obviously on the radio it gets a broader audience to tune into the Cape. How does that process work, picking the games beginning of the season to now, where it seems that you've picked a pretty good game here down to the stretch with Falmouth and Cotuit competing for second?
Yeah, there's 2 things we have to do. We like to look at great rivalries. We've got one here today. It's pure luck as far as we knew this would be a big game going in. We thought both Cotuit and Falmouth had a good chance to be in contention toward the end of the year. This year's a little bit different with COVID. Only with the 4, we tried to limit some of the exposure. So with not having the All-Star game this year, unfortunately, that will come back next year, and also the playoff format having only 4 teams rather than 8 teams in the league make the playoffs. So this is why this game is so important, because a win by Cotuit obviously will put the Kettleers in the driver's seat.
1-1, popped up. Looks like it'll be in Ritter's zone. He'll make the catch behind the second base bag for the second out. So 2 quick outs and a different start to the 6th inning versus Harrison Cohen's relief appearance in the 5th. We look at this Falmouth team versus Cotuit. Cotuit scored now 53 runs over the last 5 games, and we were talking they went on a 2-7-1 stretch, the 10 games plus before that, and they've completely had an offensive resurgence. What have you seen from this team?
Well, I think that you've got both teams both teams hitting the ball very well. I think very different types of offenses, though. From what I've seen, the Cotuit team, is a very aggressive team. They go after the first pitch a lot, aggressive both at the plate and on the base paths.
There's a line drive up the middle. First hit of the game for Braden Taylor. That's good for his 26th on the season. Harrison Cohen's inning is extended for the very powerful Jay Sporfin, who has yet to get a hit but walked and scored in the 5th inning.
The Falmouth Ball Club, tends to wait for the big inning with 31 home runs, second in the league this year, kind of in the middle of the pack batting average-wise, hitting in the 230s, as opposed to Cotuit, who's hitting, I believe, 261 as a team, which is first in the league and also leading the league in runs. And this game is doing nothing to hurt either of those statistical categories. They're keeping right up there. And it's interesting. That's very important to keep going toward the end of the season. And you want to be the hottest team in the league going into the playoffs. And it appears to me that Brewster and Cotuit might actually be the hottest teams, with Bourne being the best team throughout the year, but maybe not playing as well down the stretch.
Starting to teeter off a little bit. So you talk about the 261 average. It's a nice changeup, gets Borfin swing and miss. It's 1-2. You know what their team average was entering the game yesterday?
I'll bet it was somewhere in the low 250s.
It was 253. They went up 8 points after 20 hits.
Yeah.
So you're certainly correct. This offense is surging right now as Cohen goes with another changeup. This time Borfin lays off. We'll be able to continue this conversation in the bottom of the 6th and maybe even more, because you have the broadcasting chops. You know what to say. You make my job a lot easier. No dead air as he gets him on a slider in. Swing and miss. 4 batters faced. And there is the second strikeout for Harrison Cohen. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th on the Kettleers Digital Network. It's the bottom of the 6th inning now, 10-5. Cotuit leads over Falmouth. Still on is Lucas Gordon, and he's had a much more successful relief appearance. So he's looking to face off against the top of the order for the Kettleers with Jace Grady, Chris Carey, and John Garner of WEEI. Does the games of the week here in the CCBL. And let's just start you off with this question. What has been your favorite game that you've broadcasted this season? Game of the week, of course.
Probably the first 2 for completely different reasons. The Falmouth at Wareham game that we did on opening, it was a day after opening day, so it was our opening radio game on the 21st of June. That was Paul Gallup night at Wareham, and all the dignitaries were there. We had U.S. Congressman William Keating on with us, who did a superb job as our guest in the second inning there. And it was to memorialize a longtime friend and commissioner of the league, Paul Gallup. And so that was very unique and meaningful for its own reason. Although the game itself wasn't as well played. I think there was 6 hits, batsmen, all kinds of walk, kind of a typical first game. Then the second game of the year that we did was the following week on Sunday right here at Lowell Park between the Bourne Braves and the Cotuit Kettleers.
As Jace Grady puts a charge into left field, is it over the wall? It is! Another home run for him in as many games. This time from the right side, it's 11-5, and Jace Grady just continues to mash for Cotuit.
And that ball took no time at all getting out of here. A line shot over the left field fence. And we've seen some big power here by both teams, and one ball even hitting the scoreboard a couple of innings ago, which is very unique for Lowell Park. Terry thought that might have been the first time the whole year that someone actually hit the scoreboard.
The scoreboard took a little bit of damage off the bat from Michael Curiali, and now they'll go to the bullpen, but we'll stay here. As you continue talking about that game, Cotuit and Bourne, that basically set up possibly a playoff scenario for the first round between Bourne and Cotuit.
Yeah, and that'll be really nice to see if that does materialize, because you have two teams, the one team being the best team throughout the year and the other team being one of the 2 hottest teams down the stretch, probably along with meaning Cotuit, along with possibly Brewster, really playing well down the stretch and, really hitting on all cylinders here. If Cotuit can get its pitching staff, shape and ship shape and arms rested and all that, I think they have as good a chance as anybody.
So we'll see who the first or second reliever, I should say. The relief pitcher is on for Falmouth. They're starting to dip into the bullpen. They've matched with their third reliever. It's number 15, Stephen Quigley, out of Wheaton College in Illinois. Right-hander out of Halifax, Massachusetts. So a hometown guy looking to play in the Cape League, and he's yet to make an appearance for Falmouth this season. After a solo home run for Jace Grady, started off the 6th inning. And, John, we've seen a lot of wonderful players, especially between these two teams. Who's been your favorite player that you've seen this season on the Cape?
Boy, that's a tough question. I like your shortstop, Ritter. If you have was hitting 325 from the shortstop position, that's a huge advantage for a team. I know was he one of those guys with the 4 hits last night? I believe it was Ritter, Brown, and Bridges, right, that had the 4 hits apiece.
Ritter had 2, Brown had 4, and Brett Roberts had 4.
That's what it was. Okay, that's
you know what
right.
The funny thing about those 3 are?
What's
They're
that?
all shortstops.
That's incredible. You got some depth at that position. So
certainly
yeah.
so.
But if you can get that kind of, today he's starting a shortstop for you. So if you get that kind of production from your shortstop, you're in great shape. No question about that. I mean, there's a lot of great players in the league. There was, I think it was the Bourne. He pitched against you guys. He was the designated hitter. I think his last name was Jackson. And he was from UConn, and he started the game at DH. He had 2 hits. He came in, he threw 101 and 103 miles an hour.
Reggie Crawford.
That's what it was, from UConn, Reggie Crawford. And he was the most eye-opening one because he'd gotten 2 hits against the Kettleers, then he came and threw over 100 miles an hour. That's something I hadn't seen in the 20 years or whatever it is that we've been broadcasting the games. I had not seen that. Someone that started at DH, then came out of the bullpen throwing 100. You just don't see that every day. Big left-handed pitcher. I believe he went to Team USA. I think that might have been the last game that he pitched in.
He did, and that's funny you mentioned that because Stefan said that's the best player and the best prospect that he's seen is Eldridge Figueroa, who's pinch hitting in place of Carter Trice. Fouls one away.
Yep.
Figueroa most likely will take over the third base spot. Trice has had some issues over there. Reggie Crawford, an incredible talent. But you talk about Ryan Ritter, and things that people don't know about him is he wasn't a starter to begin the season. It was a very long road for him to get over at shortstop, but you see with the glove, you can't leave him out of the lineup. When he started to play every single day, the numbers started to rise. On July 21st, he had a .218 batting average.
Wow.
Now he's at .325 entering this game and counting.
Wow.
After that RBI single in the third. It's 0-2 to Figueroa. He fouls it away. Eldridge Figueroa has done a great job making contact with the ball, has not found too much success on the base paths, but when he's been given an opportunity, he's put the ball in play. This Kettleers team is a little bit different because the offense is starting to come alive. The pitching has been the question mark, namely starting pitching, which I feel like will be a very important thing to address come playoff time. As Figueroa chops it over to the right side, Curiali gathers and throws to first for the first out of the 6th.
It may be different. I think hitting could carry a team a little bit more this year because you don't have the depth that you need in the playoffs because you're only got 2 rounds rather than 3. So instead of playing a possibility of anywhere from 6 to 9 games, you're playing anywhere from, say, 4 to 6 games. So that could make a big difference. If your bats get hot, they could carry you through a playoffs season as long as your pitching doesn't completely fall on its face.
That's what the Kettleers are hoping to do. And this is another double-digit performance offensively for the team as Ritter is out in front. He's behind 0-2. One of your favorite guys in the CCBL here. I'm biased as well. I love Ritter and Brown. I think they're the 2 best middle infielders that we've seen in the CCBL. You started with Jace Young and Jordan Sprinkle, but small sample size before they headed to Team USA. These guys have been here all season long and have produced a lot as Ritter unloads on a fastball, but it just drops in the glove of Boyers. He's just teeing off. Lucky there for the Commodores to make that catch for the second out.
Yeah, certainly put that one on a line out there, but just in the wrong spot.
We've started to call this 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Because of their production over the last few games. And Eric Brown kind of starts the fire there. He has a 2-run home run and a walk with 2 runs scored in this game, as well as a deep fly out to center field. And he lines one into center field. Is that going to drop down? It will. Another base hit and a rare first pitch swing for number 2 puts him aboard with 2 outs.
Well, just last time he was up when he hit the home run, we had your team president, Terry Moran, on, and we said, now, we think you're housing a player. And he goes, yes, it's Eric Brown. He's actually up this inning. It'll be interesting to see how he does. And that was a first. He actually hit a 2-run homer while his house parent was on the air with us. We don't think that's happened ever before with us, and it was pretty exciting. So there were high fives all around in the other corner booth for Terry.
And he was giddy coming out of the booth when he was coming down the stairs. He said, I don't think that's ever happened before, as Noah Bridges takes a pitch upstairs. And there aren't 2 guys in this organization that are more like each other, just very humble, level-headed people like Terry. So glad he's the president of the Kettleers. And Eric Brown just carries himself to a higher standard, has been able to produce in so many different ways, defensively, offensively, you name it, playing a position that's unfamiliar to him over at second base. And if we had gold gloves, he'd be the winner.
Yeah, and Terry likes leadership positions. I've got to know him through the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce Sports Committee. We've been serving on that together for many, many years. And him, I think more when he was a fan, maybe, even before he was the housing director of the Kettleers, he was the president of the senior softball league here on the Cape. Very good softball player himself, and has really enjoyed that. That's been a popular thing with all the older folks here on the Cape and still wanting to play sports even in their past 55 age bracket.
It's good to know Terry can still lace him up and
yeah,
draw contact with the ball. As Noah Bridges gets hit, he reaches base for the second time. Bring up Brett Roberts, who has a 2 RBI single and a walk, as well as a pair of runs scored. He's been lethal in situations such as this, with runners in scoring position and a big gap between first and second. Our best opposite field hitter, with fastballs up and away. We'll have to see what Quigley will offer him to start off his at-bat. First pitch, Eric Brown's going to go. Spiked in the dirt, the throw to second is late as well. Double steal, and it works perfectly.
Shows you the aggressiveness by Mike Roberts and his coaching staff here. No matter what the score, they completely put the pressure on the opposing team. Such a big game here for both teams. Now you've got both runners in scoring position.
I have another question for you about just your broadcasting life. What is your favorite part about this job, covering the CCBL and putting the headset on?
Chance to see great baseball up close and personal. You have the greatest vantage point of anybody Some nights you'll see a guy like Crawford who throws 101, 102 miles an hour. Other times you'll see a junk ball artist, and they can both be very effective. Seeing great players, seeing who you think is going to make the major leagues. Sometimes you're surprised, sometimes you're not. I'd have to say, in the 20 years of broadcasting, the surefire can't miss guy was Andrew Miller, a left-handed pitcher who was drafted by the Detroit Tigers, went on with the Red Sox, Yankees, and Cleveland, became the best setup guy in baseball, and probably got right-handed hitters out better than any left-handed pitcher I've ever seen.
Brett Roberts takes a strike to make it 2-2, and I agree with you. Andrew Miller was an incredible talent. I think he's going to announce his retirement after this season because of shoulder injuries. Not too sure if that's on the record, but if he does, he's had a wonderful career with the Indians, the Cardinals, the Yankees. I mean, played for so many premier teams.
Yeah. He was great with the Red Sox for several years. He could start because he was a starting pitcher back with the Tigers, and then by the time he got to the Red Sox, he was more of a relief pitcher, I believe, and certainly did that with the Yankees. And a great setup guy because he could go. He was almost like an old-fashioned reliever. Could go 2-3 innings. Now you very rarely see relief pitchers go more than say an inning and a half, except in a mop-up situation. But he had the arm strength. Big guy, 6'7", kind of a string bean, kind of built like the other guy. I'd say built just like him was Chris Sale when he pitched for YD Red Sox. He was a great pitcher. You could tell he was going to go places as well.
And Quigley rings him up. So we're going to head to the 7th, but not before we say thank you, John Garner, so much for getting on the air and the kind words that you've said to me and Steph with our family and everything like that. Been so welcoming from the start now to the closing out parts of the season. It's just wonderful to have people to emulate here in the CCBL. It's wonderful to be able to interview you and see all the wonderful things that you and Larry and Hallie DeVore, Chris Corso, and Christian do as well in that booth. So wonderful job. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you for giving us so much advice.
My pleasure, and I'm glad you guys have enjoyed the summer here in Cape Cod. You guys have done a tremendous job of continuing the great tradition of Cotuit broadcasters, and want to wish you both the best of luck, including all your other fellow Cotuit interns here. So
we certainly are lucky. So John Garner, as we head to the 7th, Chris Carey and Stephen Carey back on for the Cotuit Kettleers Digital Network. Top of the 7th inning with Harrison Cohen on. Another run came in to score for Cotuit off the bat of Jace Grady. Another home run in another game. That was his 4th of the season. He's facing Chris Armstrong. He came in, first batter face, got a pop-up to Ryan Ritter. Now Armstrong looking to get the better part of Harrison Cohen to start the 7th. Line drive into center field, and that will get down on a base hit. So Armstrong gets the second laugh against Cohen and the second hit of his evening. And Cohen has allowed quite a few base hits since coming in relief. That's his 4th. His 5th base hit now.
Yeah, certainly not the best outing by Harrison Cohen. He has struggled a little bit, to say the least, over the last 2 appearances. But I don't think that's really the craziest thing to say. He certainly has been blowing it by hitters, but what he's doing that's most important is he's eating innings. Kettleers bats continuing to help.
So it's 0-1 to Anthony Hall, who had, I guess you would say, a triple and then later scored, as he's arguing with the umpire again. And he is very displeased with Rick Emerson behind the plate. He's had plenty of trouble, and now the manager for Falmouth is throwing his hands up.
Oh, I think he might have gotten ejected.
So is Anthony Hall out of the game? It certainly looks like it may be a helmet issue more than anything. Asking what's going on. So no, I don't believe he was ejected, but he was certainly mouthing off to the umpire. We haven't a clue what just happened, but he's behind in the count at 0-1, and Hall in this game 1 for 3 with a triple and 2 strikeouts. Cohen would certainly prefer the latter here. 0-1. Slider low and inside, 1-1. Another slider, this time gets the swing and miss. So Cohen going right back to what works.
When he's left that slider down, when he's left his fastball down, he's been doing his best. But you don't want to let Falmouth continue to put base runners on.
High fly ball to right field. That's going to get down. Bridges gets to it quickly. Hall rounding first. The helmet flies off. Now there's runners on second and third. 6th hit given up by Cohen. And another extra base hit for Anthony Hall against number 34.
Like we said, not the best outing from Harrison Cohen. You want to save your arms, but trust your guy. But with Curiali coming up to the plate, we know what damage he can do with the bat. He had a 2-run home run already in this game. If he managed to hit another one here, that would bring Falmouth within 3. And we said this team is going to scrap. This team is going to scratch and claw and continue to work their way back into this ball game. Kettleers cannot afford to let the Commodores get some momentum.
So now Curiali, we know what he's been able to do as he's out in front on a nice slider behind 0-1. And another slider gets this swing and miss. Curiali fouls it away, still behind 0-2. So 0-2 with runners on second and third. Score 11-5, Cotuit leads. Fastball up and away, now it's 1-2. You don't want to lose Curiali here to bring up the right-handed hitting Mike Handel, who already has a pair of singles. He's just continued to stay hot since arriving to Falmouth. 1-2. Curiali fouls it into the glove of Donlin, but he can't hold on.
They're really working Harrison Cohen. Mike Roberts showing a ton of trust. Either that or he just really doesn't want to use another bullpen arm. Because the next couple of games, you want to save your guys. If this result plays out, the Kettleers are more than likely going to get their second spot in the West.
High fly ball to center field. Grady moving back. That will be plenty deep enough to score Chris Armstrong. Or the 6th run of the game for Falmouth. Tagging up to third is Anthony Hall. So a sacrifice fly gives Michael Curiali his 3rd RBI of the game. Eldridge Figueroa is over at third base, which was expected.
Well, they said he went early. My goodness. Anthony Hall went early. He was tagged out. Maybe it was a hidden ball trick. I wish we had replay. I took my eye off it for a second, but for whatever reason, Anthony Hall will no longer be standing at third base.
And Anthony Hall has had a day with the umpires. He is visibly frustrated heading back to the dugout. There's going to be a conversation. So the conversation will be with E. Tyler Bullock, the first base umpire. Over at third base is Joe Caraco, who was on top of the play. They said that Hall left early, which is interesting because he would have had that throw beat anyway. Nonetheless, it's a 5-run difference. Each team has 10 hits now.
Well, and I'm curious because the play was made at third base, and Hall was tagging from second. So if he left early, the force would have to be at second base. Perhaps it was a hidden ball trick by Eldridge Figueroa that tagged him out, but the Commodores can only add 1 run out of that play. Could have put a little bit of pressure on the Kettleers, but after that call, a lot of the momentum has been taken away from the men in black.
These guys just go right at each other every time they play. John was alluding to the rivalry even before this season. That's why they pick these games for the game of the week, especially at the late end of the season. There's a pop-up to center field. Grady coming on and making the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. Strange inning for Harrison Cohen, but 1 run comes in. It's 11-6 as we go to the stretch. Bottom of the order, starting with Martorella, then Suggs and Donlin due up against Stephen Quigley. It's 11-6 now after a sacrifice fly for Michael Curiali scored Chris Armstrong. And on the tag, Anthony Hall was called out. So that was 2 outs, and then a fly out from Handel ended the inning for Falmouth. They just haven't been able to have the tide turn in their direction.
Light's going to be a factor. I know we talk about it a lot, but it is getting dark out there. Game moving along at a snail's pace because of how big of an offensive display it's been for both teams. 20 hits combined. You match the total of what the Kettleers did last night. Falmouth matches their total of hits in the game for themselves last night, but Commodores have a little bit of momentum if they can, keep the Kettleers off the scoreboard.
Martorella pops it up. Armstrong loudly says, "I've got it," and he does for the first out of the 7th. Good communication there from Armstrong. That's a tough place to catch a pop-up with the entire infield converging. Even better by Quigley to just get out of the way and trust his defense. Both defenses have eclipsed 40 errors now this season, which is pretty unbelievable to think about considering how much defensive depth we have as a Kettleers team. We're both at the bottom of the table, second to last, only outclassed by Hyannis. As Suggs comes up, he had a 2-run home run, his first of his CCBL career in the 3rd inning, a strikeout and a ground out for his day. So the 2-0 to Suggs. Nice curveball for a strike, 2-1. 2-1 pitch to Suggs. High liner into center field, just enough for Handel to move 2 steps and make the catch.
And Suggs has looked really good at the plate. He's drawing a lot of hard contact. He's really getting the bat barrel on the baseball. Of course, that 2-run homer, but it has to feel good for him. He's having good at bats. He's seeing the ball well. And in the bottom of the order, if you can trust him as a power hitter, it could be a very interesting situation with him down the road.
Donlin takes a first pitch strike. Looks like the 2 catchers, Suggs won the battle to the first home run of the CCBL season, but Matt Donlin hits tanks in batting practice. Second strike, 91, up and away. It's called behind the plate by Rick Emerson. Could be a fairly quick inning for Stephen Quigley in relief. 0-2. Donlin pops it up to the left side. And the chase is on for the kids to get a baseball. Donlin pops it up to the right side this time. Will it stay in play? Moving back is Smith. It'll go out of play. So Donlin employing a 2-strike approach himself after 2 straight foul balls. Trying to figure out if Quigley can offer him something over the middle. 0-2, Donlin grounded to the left side. Colden recovers, throws to first, beats him by a half step. 1-2-3 inning for Quigley. We go to the 8th. Top of the 8th inning. Taylor Smith, Luke Boyers, the top of the order, starting with Cody Coleman, due up against Harrison Cohen, who's still out there after drawing a lot of contact. They just want to let him go here. And why not? He's been so successful in relief. Have to give him time to figure it out. Now, he did start the season as a starting pitcher, so he does have the capability to go deep in games. Wouldn't be surprised if he can get out of this inning and possibly close out the game for Cotuit.
Well, if you're the Commodores, this is the inning that you're highlighting to make a run. And Coach Mike Roberts might go to the bullpen here after those couple of pitches. But this is where, you need to try and make a run with Cohen on the mound. I think they're going to leave him out here, but so far he's allowed 4 runs to come in. Only one of them is earned. Of course, the 3 runs that came in were that triple. And we all know how that ended. It was an error. And so the only run that would have been inherited by Cohen came in because of the error. So the other 2 runs from that were inherited by Kunkel, but I guess he's going to go to the bullpen.
That was a late call to the bullpen, but how many times have we said it? A new pitcher is going to inherit a 2-0 count. We'll tell you who it is up next. Zach Fruit on to inherit a 2-0 count. It's low and away. Just one thing is left to be said. It's time to get fruity.
Well, we certainly hope so. Now it's a 3-0 count to man at the bottom of the order, and this is the moment to strike if you're Falmouth. You're trusting that Kettleers have turned it over to a new arm. If you can get a base runner aboard, start putting together some base runners, stringing some hits, you could really put pressure on the Kettleers in a game that really didn't feel like it was going to be this close.
He gets back in the count at 3-2 with a foul ball, but Fruit has been wonderful. Out of Eastern Michigan, a reliever, a possible starter down the stretch. He's 3-0 with a 3.48 ERA. Only started 1 game, but 10 games played. Only 10 1/3 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts, 7 walks, and 13 hits. I'd like to make it 14 strikeouts here against Taylor Smith. That runs inside. The walk will belong to Zach Fruit. That's how the 8th inning starts for the Commodores.
So we have the final line on Harrison Cohen. He went 2 2/3 plus, Gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, only one of them earned. Of course, 3 of those runs came from that weird Little League home run. No walks and 2 strikeouts. So Fruit just needs to find the zone, not give the Commodores more than they earn.
It's a 1-0 count for Luke Boyers. 11-6, and he grounds that just foul. Make it 1-1. Stefan, don't want to get ahead of the horse here. We are up 5 runs, and I just wanted to go through the scenario. If Cotuit wins today, their win percentage would jump up to a .5147, and Falmouth's would fall to a .4545, which would be great for the Kettleers.
Well, and basically what it would mean is Falmouth would have to win every game over the next 3, and Cotuit would have to lose every game over the next 3 in order for the Commodores to clinch a spot in the playoffs. So this game is huge. You have to trust that the Kettleers, the way their offense is playing, will be able to win one more. But it becomes a very different conversation if somehow Falmouth manages to tie this game or win this game.
Fruit misses again. It's 3-1. The win percentage has made a lot of sense. President Chuck Sturdivant, who you got to interview in the 5th inning, and his staff have come up with an effective way as Fruit draws another walk back-to-back for him. Bring up Cody Coleman.
Mike Roberts just threw his hat in the dugout. He is not happy with this because, again, you've put in a reliever. Now the real question is, when does the tactic start to get employed? When does he start going to the bullpen, not to change pitchers, but to kill daylight? One of the big, unique strategies that we've seen employed by a number of managers here at Lowell Park. 5-run lead, top of the order coming up. You can't be too safe because this is the biggest game of the season so far.
Certainly so, and it causes a lot of anger for the opposing coaches. As Fruit fires in a strike against Cody Coleman. He's yet to have a hit, reached on an error, and also walked with a run scored. He's 0 for 3 today. Like to make it 0 for 4. Trade a double play to move the runner over to third base. See what happens. Another nice slider, and he's ahead 0-2. So Fruit, 2 quick strikes, and that's what we wanted to see from number 32. We've seen it time and time again here at Lowell Park. Just allow him to get settled in.
He's using the front door extremely well. See if he goes back to it here.
Instead goes with the fastball low and away. There's something to be said about relief pitchers coming in way behind in the count. He came in at a 2-0 count. Started off with Harrison Cohen against Taylor Smith. Now Luke Boyers was all on him. But now this is where it starts. Need an out here. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Goes with the slider, and it worked perfectly. Coleman is down on strikes. Bringing up Braden Taylor.
Exactly what Fruit needed. Exactly what Zach Fruit needed. Just a slider that he left outside, used the front door, had it start over the middle of the plate, but just broke enough to the outside where Coleman couldn't get his hands extended. Now he has to face a bunch of left-handed hitters.
Snap throw to second base. Eric Brown, the tag. They thought they had him. I thought they had him as well. There was no slide back into second base by Taylor Smith. And shocked was Eric Brown there.
And I'm not going to say that him standing up may have impacted the decision of Joe Caraco, who was watching that one, but I think him standing up might have impacted his decision because really he didn't slide in. He felt comfortable enough standing back up. And of course, that could impact the decision of Caraco standing right near the second base bag.
Fruit seems unaffected, goes with a backdoor slider that goes all the way in for a called strike, now 1-1. Now the 1-1 pitch. Another backdoor slider and another called strike.
You just keep throwing that pitch. They haven't been able to hit it. Keep it away from him. You're locating it really well. Just fire him in.
What can Fruit do at 1-2? The pitch. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Zach Fruit. That hat has to have been picked up by Coach Roberts at this point after back-to-back walks.
Yeah, Fruit certainly working himself out of a jam. No pun. Please, no pun. But, 2 are down now. This could have been a very dangerous inning. Zach Fruit doing what he does best and is just controlling in relief.
And the slider is just beautiful. The break is there where he wants to place it. That's been the pitch to go to. As Borfin lets it go by, he's behind 0-1. Borfin yet to get a hit. He's only reached on a walk and later scored. So he lifts that one deep to left field. Suggs hugging the foul line, and he'll make the catch. Zach Fruit works himself out of a problem, and we head to the bottom of the 8th at 11-6. Top of the order in the bottom of the 8th, Jace Grady is up. It takes a high fastball, 1-0. Chris Carey and Stephen Carey, so happy to be with you all for the Cotuit Kettleers Digital Network. Cotuit is up 5 runs at 11-6. It's looking good for them right now, Steph.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Zach Fruit getting out of that jam with 2 runners aboard and nobody out, not letting Falmouth score any runs. It's one thing if you let Falmouth score 2 or 3 the top of the 8th inning, then they have a little bit of momentum in the 9th, put a little bit of pressure on the pitching, but you don't let any come across. So now they'll have to score 5 at least to try and tie this game. The Kettleers bats have pretty much been scoring runs all game long. 1 in the 2nd, 7 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, and then 1 in the 6th. Pretty much what brings us here.
Jace Grady has worked himself to a 3-1 count. Possible green light here for number 4 to pick up his 2nd hit, or 3rd hit of the game, excuse me. Possibly first single base hit if he gets on base only to first. He has a double and a home run as well as 2 runs scored. He has been sensational in the leadoff spot. Now it's 3-2.
He has 6 hits over the last 2 games.
Talk about an average that is going to balloon. 3-2, grounded to the right side. Curiali, nice backhanded play. There's the first out.
Curiali stabbed that one. Jace Grady hustling down the line. That's not an easy play by any sense of the word, but Curiali made it look good.
positive, Jace Grady almost finding holes in the infield every time he comes up to the plate. He is going to get aboard. He sees this baseball. Like I was saying to Ryan Ritter, very similar situation. You know the scene in the bench warmers where they're teaching the guys who haven't played baseball very much how to hit, and they go and start hitting mailboxes, and then they're seeing the baseball like it's a big mailbox. That's what it's like for Ryan Ritter and Jace Grady in particular. The ball is so much bigger when it comes in and so much easier to make contact with.
And we would say Eric Brown, but he's been doing that all season long. The baseball's looked like a mailbox since he arrived in Barnstable. As it's 2 balls and no strikes for Eldridge Figueroa, looking to pick up his second hit of the season. In limited times to the plate, I like watching Eldridge hit. Hits from both sides of the plate. Hits for power as well. 2-0. Figueroa takes it for a strike at 89.
You hear the chants from the bench, let's go Little Rock. That's where he goes to school, Arkansas, Little Rock. But Eldridge, one of the best attitudes on this team. He really is taking it all in stride. He's looking at this like it's a learning experience for him. Hasn't gotten a ton of playing time, but he just wants to learn and take that back to Little Rock. He's an older guy. Just wants more opportunities to become a better baseball player. And I think if we saw him hit every day, it'd be the same situation with Ritter, same situation with Grady. Guys that have filtered in and out of the lineup would come into his own.
Figueroa draws a walk, bringing up Ryan Ritter with 1 out. And we know what he's been able to do with runners on the base paths. I feel like we've been saying some iteration of, we know what he's been able to do for all of these players because they've just started to heat up. It's the first walk issued by Quigley. You have speed on the base paths with Figueroa. Don't be surprised if he tests Taylor Smith behind the plate. First pitch to Ritter. Way outside, 1-0.
Starting to yank that fastball to the outside for right-handed hitters and inside for lefties. Part of it is coming up with his plant foot. He's really trying to use that arm action to sling the baseball, but is losing control.
1-0, snap throw to first. That gets away from Armstrong. Eldridge Figueroa is heading for second. He's going to go to third easily.
Mike Roberts initially was waving for him to come home, but yet another error by Falmouth. They match Cotuit's total on the day, 2 each. That's 6 over the last 2 games. They're averaging 3 errors a game over the last 2. I mean, just unbelievable.
Falmouth has gotten back ahead with 41 errors on their season as compared to Cotuit's 40. That's an unbelievable number for both teams, considering the amount of defensive talent that they both possess. As the infield is in, Ryan Ritter, chance to get his 7th RBI of the season. He holds off on a slider in the dirt.
Well, and it won't take much to get RBI number 7. You hit a ball hard enough in the infield, make it a difficult play, or you hit one deep enough to the outfield, and it won't have to be too deep with Eldridge Figueroa's speed. I'm sure Coach Mike Roberts is going to send him no matter what, just to try and put some pressure on the Commodores, give you a little bit of extra cushion.
2-1, and a beautiful breaking ball brings Ryan Ritter to a knee. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2 in the dirt, and the count runs full. So what do you do here? If Ritter goes to first base, you bring up Eric Brown, an equally tough opponent for Quigley.
Well, you throw a fastball. You're down by 5, put it over the middle of the plate, hope Ritter can't catch up to it. But you do have a base to give. So if you manage to get Ritter to walk, you'd set up a double play ball.
Instead goes with the slider, high enough to right field. Borfin makes the catch, loads up and fires home, but Figueroa will come in to score. 7th RBI of the season for Ryan Ritter, and he does his job. It's 12-6.
Well, and another thing to pay attention to is Ritter is not going to have that at-bat show up. So if Figueroa didn't manage to score, that's just a fly-out. Because Figueroa scores, that's a sac fly, which keeps him at 1 for 3 on the day.
his numbers are going to continue to climb in terms of batting average, but a little bit of extra insurance, a little bit of help for the Cotuit Kettleers. But again, another run that isn't going to be earned by a pitcher. This has been a crazy game for scoring.
And Eric Brown, high fly ball to left. Does he do it again? It is caught at the wall. Gave it a ride once more, had us jumping out of our seats, but there's the third out. Ryan Ritter drives in another run. It's 12-6 as we head to the ninth.
So we're in the top of the ninth inning. Stephen Carey, Chris Carey on the Kettleers Digital Network. Zach Fruit back out. He'll be the man to close it for the Kettleers, but he'll face the heart of this order with Armstrong, Hall, and Curiali due up. And if there's any group that can cause a little bit of a stir for the Kettleers, it's these guys. First pitch slider, once again, hammers the outside corner with the back door. It's 0-1. Make it 0-2 with a fastball low and away. Playing keep away from Armstrong. Doesn't want to let it get into his wheelhouse. He has 2 hits, as well as a walk and 2 runs scored. 0-2 to Armstrong. 90 again, outside.
Just needs to go right at these hitters, Stefan. You're up now 6 runs after Ryan Ritter's sacrifice fly scored Eldridge Figueroa. Plenty of runs to work with. Just throw strikes.
He didn't there. Left the slider way too far downstairs. It's 2-2. The implications of this game are huge, to say the least. Would move the magic number down to 1. Any combination of Kettleers wins and a Falmouth loss would help, as Armstrong ropes one out to right center field, and that's the first hit of the ninth inning. Third hit allowed by Zach Fruit.
Third hit for Armstrong. That was my bad. I put up the 3 sign for you. But Armstrong, trio of hits today. He's been the guy that Cotuit has not been able to find an answer to.
So Anthony Hall back up. He's had a triple, a double, 2 RBIs and a run scored. He tries to shoot the left side but fouls it away. Like I said, Falmouth loses this game and then loses tomorrow. They would be eliminated from playoff contention. Kettleers will be in smooth sailing for that number 2 spot in the West.
I think it's safe to say with a win tonight, the Kettleers would be in good spirits heading in tomorrow against the Bourne Braves, because Falmouth has to face the Wareham Gatemen.
1-1. Slider left low. And why wouldn't they be? This team might be the best offensive team in the CCBL over the last 2 weeks.
Well, statistically speaking, they're the best offensive team in the CCBL in terms of average. That's only gone up from this game.
2-1. Chopper, and that gets through. Runners on first and second here in the top of the ninth inning. Looked like there might have been a little bit of interference with Armstrong and Martorella, but back-to-back singles So what starts the top of the ninth?
Well, Fruit, when he came in place of Harrison Cohen in the 8th, back-to-back walks. Now here in the 9th, back-to-back singles. You want to keep this at bay with Curiali coming up.
How about a triple play? Get out of the inning quickly. Is that too much to ask? As Curiali will step in. He has a couple of RBIs today, 3 to be exact. A home run, a single. Sac fly his last time up. Fruit just needs to bear down, fire it over the middle. Plenty of runs to play with if you're number 32. First pitch to Curiali. He ropes one out to left field. Armstrong will hold up at third, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
So there's the third hit for Fruit that he's given up. Now a much more uncomfortable situation here in the 9th because they can just chip away. I'm wondering if Coach Roberts is going to go to the bullpen or talk to Fruit. Still no sign that he's pointed. Usually he points before he hits the dirt.
And we said it. Commodores are not going to go down without a fight. Don't know if he's going to turn to the bullpen. This is a crucial game. But these conversations waste daylight. I don't see anybody coming in through the gate. I think this is just a calm him down type of conversation. As Mike Handel is coming up to the plate. He has a pair of singles. So 3 straight singles. What you don't want to do is start walking in runners because then you open up the door of possible knockout blow. Maybe one swing of the bat gets you 4 runs. As it stands right now, that is only 2 runs off of what the Commodores need. So expect Falmouth to be very patient at the plate. Rick Emerson has a word with Mike Roberts, but the bases are loaded for Zach Fruit. Very different conversation than what we saw when he first entered the game. But we've seen him get himself out of jams before. Hopefully this is no different. First pitch to Handel. It goes back to that slider. Called strike, 0-1.
And that conversation between Coach Roberts and Rick Emerson was about the mound visits, how many he has left, how many he can use. He's already used a lot. They're on the 3rd. He's given up. I don't know how many are left.
Bouncing ball over to Martorella. He'll hustle to the bag and beat Handel there. The Commodores score their 7th run of the game. It's a 5-run ball game with 2 runners in scoring position.
Handel gets his first RBI of the night. His 4th of the season. Brings home the 7th run of the game, but a big first out. Now 2 runners are in scoring position for Taylor Smith, who Fruit started off his outing against last inning. Just needs to go at him here. Instead of walking him, which is what happened, he did inherit a 2-0 count. Start throwing strikes.
Smith, once again, thought about the slider, didn't swing. Much to his chagrin, that was a called strike.
And Zach Fruit has improved after those 2 straight walks coming into the 8th inning. He got back-to-back strikeouts and a flyout to left field to end the inning. Sometimes a pitcher just needs a talking to.
Smith wanted that one. He fouled it off his leg and straight back. So if Fruit can get a strikeout here, Commodores would be in a difficult situation to say the least. Oh-2. Gets away from Donlin, skids to the backstop. Another run's going to come in. Wild pitch from Fruit. It is a 4-run ball game.
This is a little dicey here, Stefan.
All you have to do is get 2 more outs. Sometimes it's easier said than done.
All you need is 4 more strikes. 1 more here against Smith. Try and get Boyers. Once you have 2 outs, it's much more comfortable, but Taylor Smith reaches, then you have a person at the plate bringing it within 1.
Smith didn't swing. Good take there. It's evened up at 2-2. Fruit needs to get this guy because then it'd be Boyers and the top of the order coming up. 2-2 from Fruit. Fastball outside corner, just missed.
Ooh, that was a tough one. That was a great pitch from Fruit. Now at 3-2, it's uncomfortable. You don't want to leave it over the middle for Smith, because if he sends it out of here, it's a 2-run ball game with just 1 out. Boyers and then the possible top of the order coming up.
Good pitch, better take, the payoff. Smith yanks one straight back. Putting together a professional at bat if he can be a base runner.
Well, this is looking a lot more like the first and second game played. Late inning dramatics between the Kettleers and the Commodores. Usually it's at Gov Fuller, but now at Lowell it's happening.
3-2. Smith again spoils it. Of course, wasn't it Zach Fruit? That really late inning dramatic game with Shad and Peavyhouse coming in. Skinned up his hand on a comebacker. Couldn't finish the ball game. You know, this would be a very important game for him.
How good would it be to have Peavyhouse here against the Commodores to do it again?
3-2. Smith fouled back again.
He had Peavyhouse. He had 2 runners in scoring position. All it took was 7 pitches and a miraculous play from Donlin and Brooks Baldwin in foul ground.
I can promise you it's not taking 7 pitches this inning. Already over 7 pitches in this at bat. 9 to be exact.
Maybe he can get him on the 10th. Is that heard somewhere? 10th time's the charm?
That's what I said on the ACT, but it was still wrong. The 3-2 hits him. Runners on the corner with only 1 out. And Luke Boyers is going to come up. Coach Roberts is going to have to think about something here. Don't know if he's going to go to the bullpen in this situation. Wants to save his arms. There's still activity out there. But for the moment, Luke Boyers belongs to Zach Fruit.
He set up the double play ball here.
I'm curious to see if they're going to try and possibly steal Taylor Smith. I doubt it, given that he's a catcher. First pitch. Boyers ropes one foul to the right side.
And this is all about, and the daylight is starting to trickle away too. You don't want it to be where the umpires call the game if they possibly tie it up and end it a tie or even a loss. Kettleers have played so well offensively. The pitching has been decent as well. I mean, obviously 13 hits isn't great, but just enough to keep the lead.
He misses downstairs. It's 1-1. Now another conversation is, what if you load up the bases?
What if?
Then you turn it over to the top of the order. 1-1. Fruit misses again. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Went with the slider. That's been his best pitch by far. But a very selective Commodore team, like we said was going to happen with multiple men on the bases. 2-1. Pretty enough for Boyers. He fouled it back to the left side.
Fruit needs a strikeout here. Basically saying it, willing it into existence. Either that or a ground ball to Ritter or Brown at second base.
Either would work for the Kettleers.
Pop out as well would be great because that would take the air out of the inning, but need a strikeout.
2-2. High and outside. Boyers is making this thing interesting.
And Coach Roberts is saying something to Fruit here. It's possibly just leave it over the middle. You need to.
3-2 pitch. Outside, bases are loaded for the Commodores. Fruit issues his 3rd walk, and it is a tough time for the Kettleers here in the top of the 9th inning. Things are falling apart slowly.
Well, the tying run comes to the plate. You have to make sure you know what you're doing here. You're trusting your personnel. Fruit has been so excellent so far this season. He's been a great reliever, but right now has to work himself out of a jam again.
Slider outside. What you don't want to do is walk in a run.
That's the worst thing you could do.
Mike Roberts checking the bullpen. I think this could be the day for Zach Fruit, and it is. He's not going to get out of it. He's going to trust a fresh arm out of the pen. So we'll be back with all the information. Late inning dramatics here at Lowell Park on the Kettleers Digital Network. Max Gig is in. And what this tells me is Coach Mike Roberts is very concerned about the situation at hand. He's putting in one of his strongest relievers, a guy that I'm sure he wanted to save for the Bourne game tomorrow, but the situation has arose that the bases are loaded for the Falmouth Commodores. They're only down by 4. There's only one out. The top of the order is up. Can't set a scene any better than this. Light starting to fade here at Lowell Park. That may help out the pitcher more than the hitter, but let's see if it is impactful with Cody Coleman at the plate.
Gig just needs 2 outs. All we need is 2 outs before 4 runs come in to score.
He is 0 for 4 on the day with a walk. So this is the guy you want to run into. Gig, fastball, outside corner, swing and miss, 1-1.
And this is a version of Gig we haven't seen before. He's coming with a vengeance. You can just see it in him.
Got to talk to his dad. Said, this is a very different version of my son than anything I've ever seen. Hopefully that continues here. 1-1. 1-2. Pretty pitch from Gig down in the zone, 93.
Back-to-back 93s, and here he sets himself up. Don't want to spike one in the dirt for Donlin. As a wild pitch has caused a run to come in to score to make it 12-8. Go with another fastball. Colton doesn't look like he's timing it up.
1-2. Downstairs, gets away from Donlin. Coming around to score is Curiali. It is 12-9.
That's a pass ball there. I think that's a pass ball, Stefan.
The run will be earned by Zach Fruit. Fortunately for Gig, it is a 2-2 count. All he needs is 1 strike to get Cody Coleman here. But 3 runs have come across to score here in the top of the 9th inning. The Commodores are showing no signs of slowing down.
Come on, Max, just get him here.
2-2 from Gig. He got him! 94 upstairs sends Cody Coleman packing.
He just needs 1 more out in Braden Taylor, who only has 1 hit and a pair of strikeouts. Gig could make it 3 here.
The tying run comes to the plate in the form of Braden Taylor. He is 1 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. Saving grace for Commodores, he had a single in the 6th. First pitch, in on the hands, fouled back.
So Gig gets ahead in the count again here. Coach Roberts telling his outfield to back up and play at a deeper depth than usual just in case. You want to back it up. You allow an extra base hit, 2 runs come in to score, but that would make it 12-11. You do have Jace Borfin waiting on deck, and you don't want him coming to the plate in a situation where he's yet to get a hit.
0-1 to Braden Taylor. Gig from the stretch. Outside corner, misses low and away. So 2 are down. That's the positive. But Gig needs to continue to fire in strikes. You do not want to let Borfin, Armstrong, and Hall come up to the plate this inning. 1-1. Gets the outside corner. It's 1-2. Braden Taylor is down to his last strike, and this could be the most important pitch for both teams' seasons.
You could hear an eruption here if Max Gig could get him.
1-2. Slapped foul to the left side.
Gig at 96 there. 96 from Gig. He is revving it up here. He wants to get him. This is the man to do it. See if he can get him.
1-2. Line drive out to center field. Jace Grady tracking. It is a victory in the Village. The Kettleers put themselves in the driver's seat for the 2nd place spot in the West. What a game. What a performance by Max Gig. 12 runs come in to score on 10 hits. From our entire crew, Jack Roberts, Owen Zides, Lauren Kirkley, Tim Crowley, Chris Carey, I'm Stephen Carey on the Kettleers Digital Network. Be sure to stay tuned for the next few games. Next up against Bourne, magic number is 1 for the Kettleers.